Chapter 428. When the aura of the law flowed out, the fish beast that was unaware of the danger was still swimming in the lake. But suddenly, there seemed to be a wisp of black gas flowing out from its body. Without any warning, the fish beast did not even struggle. As it swam, it directly flipped over its belly. It floated above the lake. Seeing this scene, the surrounding group of Fox clan members fell into a dead silence. Soon, their faces changed drastically and their eyes were filled with horror. Dead? Dead? They widened their eyes in shock. If it was to kill the fish beast, they could also do it. However, the principle of the death law that the founder just used was not like this. The power of the law could make you enter death without knowing it. In other words, even the fish beast did not know that it was dead. That was why there was a scene where the fish belly turned white as it swam. Moreover, there was no damage. It was just that its life was taken away. It is indeed the death law, but, looking at the fish beast that turned its belly up, Bai Lu held the death bell in her arms and frowned. Although it is the death law, it is only the most ordinary death law. She thought that if it was Ning Tian, there might be a different effect. But now, it seemed that she was expecting too much? Is that so? Ning Tian had a smile at the corner of his mouth. He looked at Bai Lu and pointed at the fish beast that turned its belly up. Bai Lu, watch carefully. After that, a black glint flashed in his eyes, and his finger lightly pointed at the fish beast whose belly had already turned white. The power of the law surged again. When everyone was puzzled, they saw the fish beast suddenly tremble and its entire body turned over. It swam again without any panic. It was as if it did not realize that it had died just now. Huh? It's alive. Seeing this scene, the surrounding Fox clan members widened their eyes. Their eyes were filled with deep astonishment. They rubbed their eyes, afraid that they had seen wrongly. That fish beast that had clearly turned over its belly was really swimming. This is? Seeing this scene, Bai Lu frowned slightly. Sui Weiao was also a little surprised. The opposite of death, life. Ning Tian smiled and raised his hand. A green light flickered in his hand, exuding a burst of vitality. However, I've only grasped a little bit of the life laws. If I want to grasp more, I'll have to go to those life forbidden zones. Law of life? Bai Lu was stunned, but his expression remained calm. She hadn't expected that Ning Tian would be able to comprehend the opposite of the law of death through his control of the law of death. This was simply too inconceivable. Ning Tian smiled and looked at the fish beasts swimming in the lake. Black light circulated in his eyes and green light spread out from his hands. Dead. I'm alive. He died again. I'm alive again. Just like that, the fish beast would sometimes die and sometimes come back to life. Fish beast, do you think you are very humorous? Seeing this scene, the group of Fox clan members fell silent. Their eyes were filled with shock. They looked at Ning Tian with reverence. To be able to control life and death, this was simply godly. Boom. Deathbell, who was in Bai Lu's arms, also let out a sound of surprise. However, her expression was still calm. You've shocked Bai Lu. At this moment, the system's notification sounded in his mind. Hearing this, Ning Tian glanced at the calm Bai Lu and couldn't help but smile. Sure enough, Deathbell was Bai Lu's true body. You've shocked Sui Weiao. You've shocked Heavenly Charm and Heavenly Fragrance. You've shocked everyone in the Fox clan. Reward. Space jump card. Can be used twice. Instant teleportation. Activate Heavenly Demon Express again. Space jump card? Hearing this, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment and put away the space jump card. Although he didn't need this space jump card for now, there would be a time when he could use it. I don't have a strong grasp of the life laws. At most, I can use it to offset my death laws. In other words, only when it is deprived by my death laws can I use the life laws to resurrect it. Ning Tian spread his hands, indicating that the life laws were still too weak. If he wanted to fully master it, he would have to go to the forbidden land of life. However, he had already experienced the power of the laws. Moreover, the death laws that he was using now were not his limit. In the lake, the fish beast dived to the bottom of the lake. The surrounding fox tribe members finally recovered from their shock. They had also witnessed the terror of the laws of heaven and earth. Unfortunately, the laws were not something that everyone could grasp. Even if they could master it, it was difficult to reach a certain level. Okay, let's disperse. Ning Tian waved his hand, and the black light in his eyes dissipated. Continuing to operate the death laws was also a huge consumption of his spiritual energy. After the surrounding people dispersed, Ning Tian held Sui Weiyao in his arms and asked, "Did anything happen in this month?" "Nothing." Sui Weiyao shook her head slightly. "This month, the Sky Fox Valley has been very peaceful. Nothing major happened except for a small lion that couldn't be torn apart and was very painful." "Well, then it's fine." Ning Tian breathed a sigh of relief. "Sha Tian, is there no one who cares about my mental health? Please, not tearing down the house is really uncomfortable. Damn it. Even the word tearing technique was regressing. If there's nothing else, I think we should make a trip back to the Sky Spirit Realm." Ning Tian murmured. In this month, although he heard the sound of the death bell, he also missed his 2 wives very much. "Okay." Sui Weiyao nodded obediently. At this moment, Tian Xiang's voice sounded. "Ancestor, Junior Sister Moon Spirit came to the Sky Fox Valley. She said it was urgent." "Moon Spirit?" Ning Tian frowned and looked at Sui Weiyao. Could it be that something happened to the ethereal sect? Moon Spirit came to ask for help? Let's go and take a look. The two stepped into the void. In the main hall of the Sky Fox Valley, Moon Spirit looked a little anxious. When she saw the two coming, she quickly went to greet them. She didn't waste any time and directly said, "Ancestor, Holy Master, something happened in the Sky Spirit Realm." Something happened in the Sky Spirit Realm? Hearing this, Ning Tian frowned and asked, "What happened?" Soon, Moon Spirit told everyone the news from the Divine Nation's Lord. "Foreign experts are looking for something?" A glint flashed in Ning Tian's eyes when he heard this. He quickly thought of something and exchanged glances with Sui Weiyao. Both of them understood that these foreign experts were probably here to search for the heavenly punishment path. However, how can they set foot in the Sky Spirit Realm? Ning Tian sneered and looked at Tian Mei. "Tian Mei, send me the information about the One-Eyed Demon clan in the Blood Demon Realm. Time waits for no one. I have to prepare to leave." "Ancestor, where are you going?" Tian Mei was stunned. A cold light flashed in Ning Tian's eyes and he said softly, "The Two Clan." Chapter 429. The Two Clan. As soon as he said those two words, in the main hall, a cold, murderous intent circulated. Everyone from the Fox clan trembled and swallowed their saliva with difficulty. They looked at Ning Tian with fear in their eyes. What a strong murderous intent! This was the first time they saw their ancestral master emitting such a strong murderous intent. In the past, their ancestral master was all smiles and looked harmless. But now, his expression was cold, and his murderous intent was almost materialized. Usually, he could kill people with a smile. What's more, their ancestral master was full of murderous intent now. Thinking of this, everyone in the main hall couldn't help but tremble. It seemed that the One-Eyed Demon was going to be miserable. "Ancestral Master, we've almost gathered all the information." At this moment, Tian Mei spoke first and broke the silence in the main hall. She looked up at Ning Tian and said, "The One-Eyed Demon clan is located in the Blood Demon region of the 9 regions. The approximate location is the Demon Valley in the south of the Blood Demon region." "Okay, I understand." Ning Tian nodded and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "How dare you provoke my wife? I'll kill you." "Ancestral Master, are you leaving now? I'll find you a nearby transmission pillar. Even if you have a void ship, it'll take half a month to transmit between regions." Tian Mei frowned slightly. "Half a month? I don't have so much time to wait. Ning Tian shook his head slightly and seemed to have thought of something. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. Don't worry, I have my ways. You can stay in the Sky Fox Valley for the time being. Huh. Hearing that, Tian Mei was stunned and looked at Ning Tian with some doubt. Ancestral Master, are you going alone? The One-Eyed Demon clan has a demigod expert and there are many 9 Tribulations great emperors in the clan. Even with Miss Su and Miss Bai, I'm afraid you have to be careful. Why don't you bring the experts of the Fox clan? No need. Ning Tian shook his head. Of course I understand that the One-Eyed Demon clan isn't simple. If we go there rashly we will definitely suffer losses. So, since there will be losses, why should we use our own people? As Ning Tian spoke, the corners of her mouth curled into a meaningful smile. Hearing this, Heavenly Charm was stunned for a moment, but she quickly reacted. Ancestral Master, you mean to let others go with you? Exactly. Ning Tian nodded. Hearing this, everyone in the main hall stared at Ning Tian with wide eyes. They didn't know which unlucky person would be chosen by the patriarch. Alright, Yu Yao, Bai Lu, let's go. Ning Tian turned around and looked at the 2 women beside him. As for that unlucky bastard, he naturally already had a plan. Although he still had an indestructible dragon scale that could summon indestructible dragon clan powerhouses, it would be a pity to use it for some One-Eyed Demon clansman. Moreover, it seemed that the immortal dragon scale could only be used in the firmament territory. Therefore, this unlucky fellow was naturally his old friend. Su Yueyao didn't say a word from beginning to end. Her beautiful eyes were also filled with killing intent. It was useless to say anything more. Since Ning Tian wanted to go to the 2 clan, she could only follow silently. Since you want to kill, I'll accompany you. Bai Lu nodded slightly. Now that she had an agreement with Ning Tian, she could only follow Ning Tian and act as a free fighter. Call me when you reach the demon clan. The heaven and earth spiritual energy is too rich, I can't stay outside for too long. After saying this, her body moved slightly, turned into a wisp of black gas, and returned to the death bell again. Ning Tian also knew a thing or two about Bai Lu's situation, but he didn't say much. After all, from the Death Lord's repeated instructions, it could be seen that Bai Lu couldn't stay outside for too long. Staying in the death bell was the best rule. After putting the death bell into the storage ring, Ning Tian created a void and threw the void ship in. He took Su Yueyao's hand and prepared to leave. Suddenly, he paused as if he had thought of something. Sha Tian, follow me. This time, I'll let you use your dismantling skills to your heart's content. Oh whoa! Hearing this, Seal Flame Lion's eyes widened. After letting out an excited roar, it rushed toward the void ship. Woohoo! Master Lion can finally dismantle. My happiness is back. Soon, the void ship unleashed its full power and headed toward the firmament territory. In the great hall of the Heavenly Fox clan, a group of Fox clan experts observed 3 seconds of silence for the lucky one who was chosen by the ancestral master. Hopefully, there would be no ancestral master in heaven. Firmament territory. Chaos Emperor Realm, Buxu Palace. Palace Master, why do you look so weak recently? The elder of the Void God Heavenly Palace looked at the haggard emperor on the throne and couldn't help but feel puzzled. The palace master used to be high-spirited. Why did he look so different now? Hearing this, the Void God Emperor fell silent. That's right. The patriarchs of the God territory said that if you dare to come to the God territory, they'll beat you up. Why did you provoke the sword god of 10,000 swords for no reason? The elder continued when he saw that the virtual God Emperor was silent. Elder Lu, don't mention it. Hearing this, the Void God Emperor instantly put on a painful mask. He was already extremely afraid of that man, and after hearing about his background in the Black Death Mountain a month ago, he became even weaker. Palace Master, I think you're sick. Elder Lu sighed. I know. I think I'm suffering from ancestral master phobia. The Void God Emperor rubbed his temples. His face was pale as he sighed deeply. Recently, I've been having hallucinations. I feel like the ancestral master is right beside me. Old Sue, I'm coming for you. At this moment, a voice rang in his ears. There seemed to be signs of spatial fluctuations. Sigh. It's here again. The Void God Emperor sighed. He felt that his ancestral master phobia was getting worse. The hallucinations were so real. It seemed that he was really sick. Palace Master. It's not a hallucination. Elder Lu's voice was filled with fear. His body was trembling uncontrollably as he looked behind the empty God Realm Emperor. It's not a hallucination. The empty God Emperor froze for a moment and his face stiffened. He turned his head with some difficulty and saw a smiling face. At this moment, the Void God Emperor's mind went blank. He knelt down with a thump and tears flowed down his face. Before his brain could think, his body had already reacted. It was enough to show the fear in his heart. It's over. My Void God Heavenly Palace is finished. Old Sue, we haven't seen each other for a month. Did you miss me? Ning Tian smiled at the Void God Emperor. Yes. I missed you very much. The light in the Void God Emperor's eyes dimmed. It's good that you missed me. Ning Tian patted the Void God Emperor's shoulder and comforted him. Don't worry, I'm not here to destroy your Void God Heavenly Palace. You're not? The Void God Emperor's eyes flashed. Of course. After tricking you for so long, this ancestral master also feels guilty. So, I've decided to make it up to you. Make it up? The Void God Emperor's eyes lit up. Yes. Under the Void God Emperor's expectant gaze, Ning Tian's lips curled into a meaningful smile. Come, accompany me to deliver the package. We'll go to the Blood Devil Realm to kill the demons. Hearing this, the Void God Emperor's body trembled. His face was like a dead horse as he cried happily. Seeing this, Ning Tian smiled with satisfaction. Old Sue really likes this. He must have wanted to kill the demons for a long time. I'm really a good person. I even helped him fulfill his wish. Author's note: there are 2 more chapters. I'll post them in the afternoon because I'm going to sleep. Chapter 430. Hearing Ning Tian's words, the Void God Emperor squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. F***ck. Going to the Blood Devil Domain to kill demons? What was the difference between that and suicide? He really thought that Ning Buxu would make it up to him. It seemed that he was too naive. Ancestor, isn't this a bit inappropriate? The Blood Devil Domain is the territory of the demons. They don't like to interact with humans. Isn't it inappropriate for us to go to their territory to kill demons? The Void God Emperor said carefully. Who said that we lost the demons? Ning Tian's lips curled up as he corrected the Void God Emperor. We're just going to deliver the Sky Devil Domain. But, it's still very dangerous. The Void God Emperor swallowed his saliva and tried to struggle. Ning Tian looked at the Void God Emperor like he was looking at an idiot and said seriously, Of course I know it's very dangerous. Otherwise, why would I come to your Void God Heaven Palace? Hearing this, the Void God Emperor's mouth twitched. F***ck, we're really being treated as cannon fodder. However, he didn't dare to say anything. Even if he was angry, he could only be angry in his heart. He didn't dare to show it. Sigh, Old Sue. Ning Tian sighed and patted the Void God Emperor's shoulder. She said in a serious tone, I see that your Void God Heavenly Palace has been very weak recently. Something is not right, so I found a good job for you guys so that you won't be so weak. The Void God Emperor's face darkened. F***ck. Why would we be weak? Ning Buxu, don't you know? Although the Void God Emperor was so angry that his teeth were itching, he could only brace himself and nod. Thank you for your kindness, Ancestor. Our Void God Heaven Palace is truly grateful. You're welcome. Ning Tian smiled. Come, get ready. We're leaving now. Are we going now? The Void God Emperor's heart trembled. Of course. Old Su, are you going to make arrangements for your funeral? Oh, that's not right. Explain things? Ning Tian nodded and said. Funeral. Hearing this, the empty God Realm Emperor's lips twitched. He suddenly felt that his trip was over. Old Su, what are you waiting for? It's about time to move, right? Ning Tian narrowed his eyes. At this moment, his tone became a little impatient. Yes, Ning Tian's tone suddenly turned cold, scaring the empty God Emperor. He raised his head and saw the two beautiful figures behind Ning Tian. He nodded and said, I'll gather the people now. After that, he hurriedly left with Elder Lu. Seeing this, Ning Tian smiled. It seemed like keeping the Void God Heavenly Palace was a wise choice. At the very least, Old Su still had some value. Now, the Void God Heavenly Palace was completely under his control. The Void God Emperor did not dare to resist. The fear that Ning Tian brought to him had already taken root in his heart. Yu Yao, there's no need to rush into action. Let Old Su scout the way first. Yes? A few minutes later. Empty God Palace, in front of the main hall. The Empty God Emperor brought dozens of Emperor Realm experts over. As for the ordinary disciples of the Void God Heavenly Palace, he did not call them. Ning Tian also did not allow him to call them. After all, those ordinary disciples were useless. They couldn't even play the role of cannon fodder, and would only waste his time. Ancestor, these are the remaining experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace. Void God Emperor said to Ning Tian as he looked at the group of Void God Heavenly Palace experts behind him. There were only 2 words left, and they were used very well here. That was because the previous powerful beings had all been killed by Ning Tian. These experts only looked at Ning Tian with fear in their eyes. It was as if they had been infected by the Empty God Emperor's fear of their ancestor. They did not dare to have any bad thoughts. Ning Tian and the 2 women behind him were demigod experts, according to their thoughts. Since the Empty God Emperor was so afraid, Ning Tian might be even stronger than a demigod expert. Yes. Let's go, Ning Tian said casually. At this time, Bai Lu returned to the death bell. She came out because Ning Tian wanted her to shock the Empty God Emperor, but he didn't expect Old Su to be more afraid of him than he had imagined. Really? The ancestor was so kind. What was there to be afraid of? If we go now, our Void God Heavenly Palace has a teleportation pillar that can jump between spirit realms, the Empty God Emperor said as he looked in the direction of their teleportation pillar. Boom. With a glance, it collapsed. In the ruins, a small lion crawled out. The golden light in the sky slowly dissipated. The Empty God Emperor was silent for a moment. Then he said, All right, it's gone now. Countless disciples of the Void God Heavenly Palace were dumbfounded. What just happened? Roar! The lion cub crawled over and patted the Void God Emperor's shoulder embarrassedly, calling out a few times. Roar! Brother Empty God, when I see a building that can be demolished, I can't control the power in my body. I'm really sorry. I won't demolish it next time. However, the Empty God Emperor didn't understand at all. It's okay. There's no need to use the teleportation pillar. Ning Tian said lightly and summoned the void ship. Yueyao, let's go. Okay. Su Yueyao nodded and followed Ning Tian onto the void ship. Why are you still standing there? Ning Tian frowned when she saw Emperor Void God and the others who were still standing there. Hearing this, the Empty God Emperor and the others didn't dare to say anything and quickly boarded the void ship. Ancestor, what should we do now? The Empty God Emperor asked carefully. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. He didn't answer the Empty God Emperor and said in his heart. Use the space jump card. Using the space jump card. Please select your destination. Blood Demon Territory, Demon Valley. Ning Tian said lightly. Using the space jump card. There's only one use left. When the system finished speaking, the entire void ship began to shake violently. Yueyao, stand firm, Ning Tian said, and then hugged his little wife silently. Next, it was time to use the space jump. Boom. In the next moment, the void ship trembled continuously. The group of celestial Darch realm experts couldn't stand firm and were thrown off their feet. It was also at this moment that the scene outside the void ship changed continuously. 1 minute later, around them, it was blood red and the demonic aura was surging. The entire sky was dark red. This place, it was the blood demon territory. What? Seeing this, the empty god emperor and the others widened their eyes in shock. What kind of heaven-defying means did the ancestor use? In 1 minute, he went from the firmament territory to the blood demon territory? What the F***CK? Chapter 431. Emperor Su Shun and the others were shocked as they looked at the dark red sky and sensed the demonic aura around them. They all looked at Ning Tian, who had a faint smile on her face, in disbelief. What kind of method was the ancestral master using? This was obviously not something a demigod realm expert could possess. Could it be he was above the demigod realm? But how could a demigod realm expert appear in the 9 regions? Their minds were filled with thoughts, but they still could not find an answer. The ancestral master was becoming more and more mysterious and powerful in their eyes. Although they did not know how the ancestral master did it, they were sure of one thing. They could not afford to offend this man. Phew! Fortunately, I recognize the thief as my father. The Void God Emperor heaved a sigh of relief. You have shocked the Void God Emperor. You have shocked the experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace. Rewarded law skill. Restrained Spirit Dispatch. Restrained Spirit Dispatch. The host can use Restrained Spirit Dispatch on any lifeform that dies under the law of death. The lifeform can fight for the host for half an hour. Note: this skill can only be used once on the same lifeform. Note: the duration of the battle will change as the host becomes stronger. Law skill. Restrained Spirit Dispatch? Hearing the voice in his mind, Ning Tian was stunned for a moment. Soon, a hint of joy flashed through his eyes. This law skill was truly a little awesome. Most importantly, while the skill itself was heaven-defying, it was also a skill that could grow with him. This time, he had shocked the Void God Emperor. The reward was really good. Old Void, you did well. Ning Tian smiled and patted the Void God Emperor's shoulder. Hearing this, the Void God Emperor was stunned for a moment. Then, he broke out in cold sweat and his body trembled. Damn! It's over. The Ancestral Master smiled at me. As the saying goes, when the Ancestral Master smiles, it's hard to say whether you will live or die. Could it be that my sneeze just now made the Ancestral Master unhappy? Or did he pick his nose just now? Could it be that I breathed just now? It's over. I'm dead. Just as the Void God Emperor was reflecting on himself, Su Yueyao looked into the Devil Valley. Soon, she frowned and murmured, Honey, I feel that the devil aura here is very similar to the true devil sealed in the Jade Lake. Could it be that they are of the same bloodline? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows. He recalled the news Yu Ling had sent him. A portion of the One-Eyed Demon clan had gone to the Jade Lake sacred ground. Could it be that they were looking for the named True Demon? Unfortunately, what these demons didn't know was that the named True Demon was already gone. If it's them, then that's interesting. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled up slightly as he said to everyone, Let's go. It's time for someone to sign for the Sky Demon Express. Yes. Devil Valley, Devil Palace. Patriarch, the demons we sent to the Heavenly Spirit Region's Jade Lake sacred ground have been exterminated. A hoarse voice sounded, and the One-Eyed Demon Monarch said to the figure shrouded in black mist on the high seat, Exterminated? Hearing this, the black shadow surged. A blood-red eye suddenly widened, and the surrounding demonic chi surged. Who is it? Heavenly Spirit Region, Heavenly Spirit Empress, the demon monarch said cautiously. Heavenly Spirit Empress? In the black mist, the one-eyed demon monarch's voice sounded. He had never heard of such a name. No matter who she is, she can't stop our clan. We have to save Senior True Demon. Only with him around can our clan come into contact with Lord Demon God. Only then can our one-eyed demon clan walk towards the divine region. The one-eyed demon monarch's scarlet eye flickered. Let's move now. With the strength of the entire clan, we'll go to the heavenly spirit region. His voice fell. Yes. The demon monarch nodded slightly. At this moment, a hearty voice sounded from outside. Is anyone here? The Sky Demon Express you ordered has arrived. Someone come and sign for it. Hearing this, the group of demon monarchs in the hall were stunned. The one-eyed demon monarch also had a puzzled look on his face. Sky Demon? Could it be the demon clan that had risen in the Blood Demon region? But this express? What was this thing? Let's go out and take a look. The one-eyed demon monarch frowned, turned into a black mist, and shot out of the hall. The group of demon monarchs behind him hurriedly followed. Just as they were about to leave the hall, dong, the sound of the death bell rang. Then, the demigod's aura spread out, enveloping the entire demon valley. At this moment, thunder rumbled in the sky. Countless lightning bolts smashed heavily towards the group of demon monarchs who had just flashed out of the hall. The whole process was as smooth as flowing water. In less than a second, the group of demons had just come out when their souls were shocked by the sound of the death bell. They were stunned on the spot. Before they could react, one attack after another landed on their bodies. Boom! Rumble! In an instant, the hall was annihilated. Seeing this scene, the Void God Emperor and the experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace were stunned. Even they didn't have time to react before the Ancestral Master and the others tacitly attacked. Didn't they say a word of nonsense? Just directly attacked? Shouldn't they go through the process? Ancestral Master? The Void God Emperor was puzzled. Old Void, you have to remember. If we can kill them with tricks, don't use force. Ning Tian looked at the Void God Emperor with a smile. Next, you guys move. Don't show mercy. Kill them directly. Understood. The Void God Emperor was stunned. His eyes widened. At this moment, he had learned. Understood. He nodded heavily. Then, he led a group of experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace and charged towards the one-eyed demon race below. Waves of intense killing intent spread out in all directions. Boom! In the ruins, the one-eyed demon race crawled out in a sorry state. Many demon monarchs around him were severely injured. Humans. Simply shameless. The demonic chi around him was somewhat scattered. He had never thought that these people would attack him directly after he came out of the hall. Two demigods. The one-eyed demon race's eyes were somewhat solemn. Yu Yao Bai Lu attacked directly. Ning Tian looked at the one-eyed demon race. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. No need to kill them directly. Leave the final blow to me. I have a great use for it. He didn't plan to let the Buddha Demon Pagoda suppress these demons. Instead, he was going to use a law technique to capture spirits and dispatch generals. Okay. Hearing this, Su Yueyao and Bai Lu nodded. The three's gazes landed on the one-eyed demon race. Immediately, the one-eyed demon race's body trembled. Very soon, a great battle broke out. Spiritual chi and demonic chi clashed. The one-eyed demon race didn't even know what was going on. They only saw a group of human experts charging towards them. They could only choose to passively fight against these experts. While the humans were fighting, the golden word demolished appeared in the sky from time to time. Dozens of minutes later, in the Devil Valley, black demon blood formed a river. Demonic chi scattered, and many demon corpses were strewn everywhere. Author's words, speed up the pace. Chapter 432. Human, What grudge does my one-eyed devil race have with you? Do you need to cross the spirit realm to exterminate my race? The Devil Valley was in ruins. The ground was littered with demon corpses, and black demon blood flowed like a river. The one-eyed demon sovereign clenched his teeth as he looked at the smiling youth in front of him. His eyes were filled with fear, and many demon monarchs around him were heavily injured, barely hanging on to life. Just a moment ago, the two women behind the young man had displayed astonishing strength when they made their move. Even though he was also a demigod, he was still far from being their match. One of them had a monstrous demonic aura, and her every move was like a ghost. The other could control a kind of bell sound, which was accompanied by waves of black energy. Even the Devil Sovereign's demonic aura could be easily dispelled. The sound of fighting continued in the surroundings. It was accompanied by bursts of roars and excited lion roars. The smiling young man in front of him didn't seem to have made a move, but his inextinguishable aura made him fearful. The one-eyed Devil Sovereign couldn't see through the young man's strength at all. In addition, the two terrifying women listened to him. He instantly thought that Ning Tian was a peerless expert. But he felt aggrieved. He had never seen this human young man before, and the other party wanted to exterminate his race without saying anything. Was this something a human would do? You and I have no grudge. Ning Tian looked at him with a smile. He was very satisfied with what the Sealing Flame Lion King and the experts of the Void God Heaven Palace had done. No grudge. The one-eyed Devil Sovereign's mouth twitched, and the devil chi on his body trembled. If you have no grudge, why did you cross the spirit realm to kill me? But you shouldn't have offended the heavenly spirit empress. At this time, Ning Tian spoke again. The smile at the corner of his mouth disappeared without a trace. His tone was indifferent, and black light flowed in his eyes. The power of the laws of heaven and earth flowed at this time. Heavenly spirit empress? The one-eyed Devil Sovereign was stunned. But at this time, he saw the black light in Ning Tian's eyes, and his expression changed. What kind of power is this? My life is being taken away again? The one-eyed demon's supremacy's black blood flowed continuously. He wanted to struggle, but when the black light flowed out, the law of death had already carved the word death on his head. If you provoke my wife, then there's no need for you to live. Ning Tian's indifferent voice rang in the one-eyed demon supremacy's ears. F***ck, damned crazy wife protector. The eyes of the one-eyed demon reverend were filled with unwillingness. The life force within his body quietly flowed at this moment. He did not expect that he merely had the intention to attack the heavenly spirit empress. In fact, he had yet to truly attack. Her husband had F***king crossed the entire great spirit realm to exterminate his one-eyed devil clan. The Devil Valley had already turned into ruins. Dozens of demon monarchs of the one-eyed demon race were severely wounded by Sui Weiyao and Bai Lu. Then, Ning Tian used the law of death to finish them off. Not bad. With so many demon monarchs, they should be very good fighters. Looking at the demon corpses all over the ground, the corner of Ning Tian's mouth rose slightly. He then raised his hand, and black chi flowed out of his hand. Sui Weiyao and Bai Lu looked at him with a puzzled expression, but they just watched quietly. Use the law skill. Spirit Restraint Dispatch. As soon as Ning Tian's voice fell, a surge of law skill surged in his hand, instantly attracting Bai Lu's attention. What kind of law skill is this? Bai Lu frowned slightly, somewhat curious. She quietly hugged the death bell and stood aside to watch. After Ning Tian used the spirit capture and dispatch generals, the bodies of the demon sovereigns and the dozens of demon sovereigns who had died under Ning Tian's law of death trembled. Then, demon chi circulated and they stood up again. However, there was no life in their eyes, only a wisp of scarlet light flickered. They're alive. Seeing this scene, Sui Weiyao and Bai Lu were both stunned. Could it be that Ning Tian used the law of life to revive them? They're not alive. Ning Tian shook his head and smiled faintly. It's just temporary. They're dead things that can listen to my orders. So that's how it is. Sui Weiao nodded and giggled. Hee hee, husband, your methods are really endless. Of course. Ning Tian chuckled and stored all the demon supremacies. Now, it's not the time to use them. On the side, Bai Lu hugged the death bell, looking at the demon supremacy controlled by Ning Tian, and silently analyzed. If that's the case, it's somewhat similar to the Death General of the Death Lord, but the Death General is not temporary. You can say that. Ning Tian nodded. Now that Bai Lu mentioned it, there were indeed some similarities. However, he believed that sooner or later, he would be able to use the spirit restraint dispatch to even more heaven-defying. Ancestor. It's all done. At this time, the Devil Valley had become quiet. The smell of blood permeated the air, and the voice of the Void God Emperor came from not far away. Although they were a little embarrassed, they didn't seem to have suffered any injuries. It seemed that the Void God Heavenly Palace still had the strength. Unfortunately, they were already scared by Ning Tian to the point that they had a psychological shadow. However, they could still be a chess piece in Ning Tian's hands. On the side, the Sealing Flame Lion King also ran over with satisfaction. It seemed that it was very happy. It had used the dismantling formula for a long time. This was a small step for it, but a big step for it to perfect the dismantling formula. And, Old Void, you did well. Ning Tian looked at the Void God Emperor with a smile. Seeing Ning Tian smile, the Void God Emperor felt his hair stand on end. He began to wonder if he had done something wrong. All right, it's time to go, Ning Tian muttered. It was time to return to the Sky Spirit region. He took a deep breath and brought the two women and the Sealing Flame Lion King onto the Void ship. Under the gaze of the Void God Heavenly Palace, they used the last space jump and disappeared. Palace Master, the Ancestor and the others have left. What a fast speed. An expert of the Void God Heavenly Palace said. Yes, what a fast speed. The Empty God Realm Emperor murmured. Suddenly, his expression changed drastically. Holy shit. The Ancestor left? That's not right. This is the Blood Devil region. How are we going to go back? Hearing this, the experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace were petrified. The F***CK? 1 minute later, the familiar sky, the familiar aura, here, it was the Sky Spirit region. A void ship appeared. Looking at the familiar scene, a smile appeared on Ning Tian's face. He had returned to the Heavenly Spirit region. This is my first time in the Sky Spirit region. Bai Lu hugged the death bell and looked around. This place will satisfy you. Ning Tian smiled. Sui Weiao looked around, then looked at Ning Tian and asked, Husband, are we going to find Wu Qing now? No. Ning Tian shook his head. No. Sui Weiao was stunned and looked at Ning Tian in confusion. Let's chase away all the foreign experts around the Heavenly Spirit region. Since we're back, we can't let our wife continue to worry. What do you say? Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as his eyes shone brightly. Hearing this, Sui Weiao giggled. Husband, you can spoil her. Ha ha. I have to spoil both of my wives. In the sky, the hearty laughter resounded in all directions. Author's words. Ahaha, I'm going to write a chapter and then sleep. You all know when to update. Chapter 433. Humph, who wants you to spoil me? Sui Weiao snorted and blushed. Although she said that, the corners of her mouth curled up subconsciously, revealing her inner happiness. Ha. Ning Tian smiled and hugged her. On the side. On the void ship, Bai Lu, who was holding the death bell, and the Seal Flame Lion King watched silently. Bai Lu. I'm full, what about you? Sha Tian. Roar. The void ship flashed in the sky above the Heavenly Spirit realm. Those experts from outside the realm had no idea that danger was approaching. Heavenly Spirit Realm, Nanzhou. Deep in the forest. There were cultivator corpses everywhere. Blood flowed here. These weaklings from the heavenly spirit realm are really useless. Demonic chi surged. The one-eyed demon expert who stayed in the heavenly spirit realm looked at the cultivator corpses around and snorted. This was originally the sect of the heavenly spirit realm cultivators. Unfortunately, it was now theirs. Haha, the demon lord is right. These cultivators are really useless. They don't even have an emperor. On the side, the remaining one-eyed demon experts on the mountain of corpses laughed in agreement. Humph. When the main force of the clan arrives and rescues Lord True Demon, I'd like to see what this heavenly spirit empress can do. The one-eyed demon lord snorted and clenched his fists. Demonic chi surged wildly around him. Unfortunately, you'll never have the chance. At this moment, an indifferent voice sounded around them. Then, a huge battleship appeared in the sky. Who are you? The expressions of the one-eyed demon experts changed slightly. The one-eyed demon lord suddenly raised his head and looked at the young man standing on the huge void ship. Me? On the spatial ship, Ning Tian smiled kindly. His hearty laughter rang out in the ears of the one-eyed demon experts. I'm a good person. I've specially come to send you to see your clansmen. There's no need to thank me. The one-eyed demon monarch was taken aback. But at this moment, a familiar surge of demonic chi surged out, and two demonic figures appeared beside Ning Tian. Their crimson eyes instantly caused the expressions of the demons below to change, and then they were overjoyed. It's the evil eye demon king. They recognized him. But before they could rejoice, go, dead thing. Black light flickered in Ning Tian's hand, and the law of death flashed out. He activated the spirit capture and dispatch, and controlled the two demonic shadows beside him to rush toward the group of devils. Ning Tian said faintly. Instantly, the sounds of slaughter continued. The group of one-eyed demons below had never imagined that their own clansmen would directly attack them. In an instant, the slaughter continued and demonic energy surged. On the other hand, Ning Tian's group stood on the deck and watched this scene with indifferent eyes. 10 minutes later. On the ground, some of the weaker one-eyed demons had already fallen to the ground. Their eyes were filled with unwillingness. As for the two dead creatures that Ning Tian had summoned, they also turned into a pile of black ash and dissipated at this moment. Indeed, I can only fight for 15 minutes, Ning Tian murmured, and then looked at the heavily injured demon monarch on the ground. His lips curled into a smile. Ning Tian was too lazy to waste his spirit chi to use the law of death on those weak demons. What he wanted was someone who could really fight. For example, this one-eyed demon monarch in front of him. Who exactly are you? The one-eyed demon monarch looked at Ning Tian with unwillingness. You won't know who I am even if you die. Are you very angry? Ning Tian's lips curled into a playful smile as he looked at the one-eyed demon monarch. You, puff? Hearing these words and looking at Ning Tian's cheap smile, the one-eyed demon monarch spat out a mouthful of black blood. At this moment, his vitality began to quietly dissipate. He, who was seriously injured, was actually going to be angered to death by Ning Tian? Seeing this scene, Ning Tian frowned slightly. He wanted to use the law of death to kill this one-eyed demon monarch first. However, he discovered that the law of death was actually ineffective. It's useless. At the side, Bai Lu hugged the death bell and looked quiet. She shook her head slightly. Why? Ning Tian was puzzled. His death belongs to the heavenly Tao. Do you think that the law of heaven and earth will override the heavenly Tao? Bai Lu said indifferently. Hearing this, Ning Tian couldn't help but fall silent. The law of heaven and earth was born from the heavenly Tao. How could it override the heavenly Tao? As the old saying goes, if the heavens want you to die, you have no choice but to die. Perhaps this was the reason. Sigh. He was too careless. He didn't expect that the one-eyed demon monarch would be angered to death by him. The patriarch was smiling so kindly, but he could still be angered to death. It was really ridiculous. It's a pity to waste a dead object. Ning Tian shook his head slightly, then looked at the two women. Let's continue. Okay. Su Yueyao and Bai Lu both nodded. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. The foreign forces of the heavenly spirit region were also quite powerful. It was somewhat difficult to clean them up extremely quickly. West Continent. Tianma cult in the main hall. Recently, those foreign forces seem to be too peaceful? The Supreme Elder frowned slightly. Looking at the news that kept being reported, he couldn't help but feel a little strange. According to those forces, they shouldn't be so peaceful. Supreme Elder, you're thinking too much. Can't you be a little quieter? Come, eat a horsewhip to calm yourself down. At the side, Zhu Yuanbua ate horse meat and said to the Supreme Elder with a smile. Why can't you leave the horse alone as soon as you appear? The Supreme Elder silently complained, then continued to read the news from the various major forces of the heavenly spirit region. After reading for a while, he suddenly froze, as if he had discovered something. What did you discover? In the main hall, the void fluctuated. When Luo Wuqing, who emitted a cold aura, appeared in the main hall, all the experts in the main hall immediately sat up straight. Even Zhu Yuanbo was so frightened that he threw the horsewhip in his hand far away. What a waste of such a good horsewhip! Your Majesty, I noticed something when I was looking at the reports. The Supreme Elder sorted out the information, then looked at Luo Wuqing and said solemnly, "It seems that an unknown force seems to be cleaning up the foreign forces in the heavenly spirit region." Unknown force? Cleaning up the foreign forces? Hearing this, the sovereign of the divine nation and the others frowned slightly, and a trace of doubt flashed in their eyes. Who would clean up the foreign forces at this time? Was it a friend or a foe? I understand now. At this moment, Zhu Yuanbo's eyes widened, and he looked as if he had just realized something. What do you understand? The heavenly treasure sacred master looked at his saint, puzzled, and held his forehead helplessly. Is this guy going to say something shocking again? This unknown force must be an enemy. He wants to monopolize the so-called heaven's punishment, so he's cleaning up the foreign forces first, then targeting us. That must be it. Zhu Yuanbo snorted confidently. He believed in his intuition. This was Fatty's intuition. This guy's reading and comprehension ability had always been good. Chapter 434. Enemy? Hearing this, everyone in the main hall frowned. Zhu Yuanbo's words seemed to make sense. If he didn't want to take Tianfa for himself, why did he clean up all the foreign forces? Don't rush to a conclusion. Luo Wuqing's cold voice sounded in the main hall. He glanced at everyone coldly and said, regardless of whether he is an enemy or a friend, send someone to observe him first. Keep an eye on him and we will know when the time comes. Yes, Your Majesty. Hearing this, all the experts in the main hall nodded. Right. At this moment, Luo Wuqing's cold eyes fell on the divine nation lord. Has he received the news? According to the time, the ancestral master should have received the news. The divine nation lord nodded slightly. However, the spirit regions are too big. Even if the ancestral master uses the teleportation pillar and travels at full speed, it will take him a week to return to the Tianling region. Hearing this, Luo Wuqing nodded slightly. His heart was as calm as water, but at this moment, ripples appeared in his heart. Heat is coming back? Somewhere in the Tianling region. You? Who exactly are you? A cultivator widened his eyes and looked at the young man in front of him with fear. Behind him, two one-eyed demon monarchs burst out billowing demonic chi, enveloping the surroundings and giving them waves of terrifying demonic power. Cultivators of the Beihan region, right? Hearing this, Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. Then, he looked at them indifferently and said, Blood Demon Region, One-Eyed Demon Clan. The things of the Tianling region are not something you other regions can touch. If you don't get out, the entire demonic army of the Blood Demon region will come. believe it or not, we will destroy all of you. Ning Tian's tone was as arrogant as it could be. Anyway, he was representing the One-Eyed Demon clan and the Blood Demon region. Blood Demon region, One-Eyed Demon clan. Hearing this, the cultivator gritted his teeth. Feeling the billowing demonic chi of the young man in front of him and the two powerful one-eyed demon monarchs behind him, he didn't have the slightest doubt. The demonic chi couldn't be fake, and they had also heard of the One-Eyed Demon clan. One-Eye's appearance. You're the demon young master of the Blood Devil region? The cultivator from the Beihan region was unwilling to give up. You don't deserve to know. Ning Tian's eyes flashed with killing intent. He raised his hand and the ball of devil chi surged out. If you don't get out of the heavenly spirit region, do you believe that I won't destroy you? Just you wait. Blood Devil realm, how dare you be so arrogant? The expression of the cultivator from the northern frosty region changed. He gritted his teeth and snorted heavily. Then, he hurriedly led the group of heavily injured cultivators from the northern frosty region away from this place in a sorry state. After the cultivators of the Beihan region left, Ning Tian cracked a smile and the two dead creatures next to him turned into black smoke and disappeared. The Buddha demon pagoda in his hand, which was emitting demonic energy, flickered with black light and returned to his storage ring. He placed his hand on his face and took off the ice silkworm mask, revealing a brilliant smile. In this way, it was completely over. Yueao, Bai Lu, come out. Ning Tian looked at the void beside him and said. The void floated. Two beautiful figures appeared. In the past few days, all the forces from outside the region had been driven out by them. During this process, Ning Tian found that the experts from the various regions were not very strong. It was very likely that they were sent by the forces behind them to gather information. In this way, even if they were all killed, it would be useless. The forces from the various regions would still come over in the end. Therefore, Ning Tian thought of an idea. That was to use the demonic energy, the identity of the One-Eyed Demon clan, and the name of the Blood Devil realm to attack the spies of the forces from outside the region. At the same time, he also asked a few spies to let him go back alive. And when they returned, all the spearheads would be directed at the Blood Devil realm first. Not only could he drive out all the spies of the forces from outside the region, but he could also avoid trouble and make them temporarily target the Blood Devil realm. At this time, even if the forces from the other regions wanted the Blood Devil realm to hand over the One-Eyed Demon clan, there was nothing they could do. This was because the One-Eyed Demon clan had already been destroyed by Ning Tian. By the time everyone reacted, he had already had enough time to prepare to deal with everything. It had to be said. This move was indescribably wonderful. Ning Tian stretched and shook his head slightly. But I have to say that the heavenly spirit realm has become much stronger under my wife's control. In order to give her a surprise, it's been really tiring to hide from the experts of the heavenly spirit realm these past few days. Yes, when the time comes, I must ask my wife to reward me well. Ning Tian thought, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Yueao, Bai Lu. Let's go. After everything is done, it's time to go back. Yes? Su Yueao and Bai Lu both nodded. Tianma cult. There were no clouds for thousands of miles. The forest was still lush, and there were even more buildings. It had been many days since the ancestral master left. Although the Tianma cult was not as active as before, there were many more buildings, which made the Supreme Elder heave a heavy sigh of relief. Phew! Although I miss the ancestral master, at least the buildings in the cult are preserved. The Supreme Elder looked at the buildings leisurely, and the corners of his mouth lifted into a proud smile. These additional buildings were all built by him. Boom! At this moment, all of a sudden, heaven and earth shook. In the sky, bursts of thunder flashed, and a huge aura pressed down heavily on the ground. Boom! In an instant, the buildings that the Supreme Elder was so proud of collapsed with a loud bang. F***ck. It's that D***mn bastard. I'm going to kill him. The Supreme Elder's eyes turned red, and his figure shot to the side. At this moment, in the Tianma cult, many disciples were a little flustered. Looking at the various strange phenomena in the sky, their expressions changed slightly, and then they subconsciously circulated their spiritual energy. Their eyes were solemn, and it was obvious that they were ready to fight. This was an enemy attack? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The various elites stationed within the heavenly demon cult all shot towards the skies, each of them looking rather nervous. Judging from the might of that aura, the newcomer did not seem to be friendly. It seemed it was a peerless expert. Boom, boom. In the sky, the sound of thunder continued. Supreme Elder, what's going on? The Lord of the Divine Nation ran out of the food hall with Zhu Yuanbo while chewing on a piece of horsemeat, and looked at the Supreme Elder with a solemn expression. I don't know. It might be an enemy attack. The Supreme Elder shook his head slightly. Where's the Empress? The Lord of the Divine Nation frowned. Where? The Supreme Elder looked at the sky, where a beautiful figure in a white and blue dress stood. If the Empress is here, she should be fine. The Lord of the Divine Nation breathed a sigh of relief. Everyone looked at the sky, and Luo Wuqing, whose beautiful face was cold, and the uneasiness in their hearts quietly faded. In the sky. Tianma cult? A voice sounded out of nowhere, and a figure vaguely appeared. Who is that? Everyone looked over, but they couldn't see through it. Is this the Heavenly Spirit Empress? I like you very much. Do you want to be my woman? That voice sounded again. There was a hint of teasing in the voice as well as a hearty laughter. What? Hearing this, the expressions of the people below changed drastically. This person, how dare he flirt with the Empress? It's over. He's dead meat. Everyone in the Tianma cult observed a moment of silence for that person. In the sky there was no sound. After a while, okay. The corners of Luo Wuqing's mouth lifted slightly, revealing a beautiful smile. What the F***ck? Seeing this scene, everyone's eyes widened in shock. Ancestral Master? Green? Author's words. Sigh, it's really annoying. There are always some authors who update slowly and sleep in. It's really annoying. Ovo, I need money. Chapter 435. Sure. In the sky, a slightly cold voice sounded. The corners of Luo Wuqing's mouth lifted slightly as he looked at the faint silhouette not far away. He couldn't help but smile. It could be said that when he looked back, his smile was charming. At that moment, even time seemed to have stopped, for fear of ruining this beautiful moment. However, Luo Wuqing's back was facing everyone. This smile only bloomed for one person. Hearing this, on the ground, the Supreme Elder and the others were stunned for a few seconds before they reacted. Their faces changed and their eyes were filled with deep shock. Their expressions were very interesting. Ancestor is a pitiful man. Coincidentally, I have a green hat that the 38th princess gave me. I think I should give it to Ancestor. Ancestor is more suitable for it than me. Sigh, Ancestor is a pitiful man. The King of Kingdom of God sighed and silently took out a green hat. It was green and shiny. Hearing this, the Supreme Elder and the others' expressions changed. They all seemed to have discovered something strange. King of Kingdom of God, you are also a pitiful man. Ancestor is the pitiful man. Why are you looking at me? The King of Kingdom of God was confused. Sigh. Zhu Yuanbo sighed deeply and said with a melancholy tone, Ancestor is really pitiful. When he returns to Sky Spirit Region, I will definitely treat him to a full horse banquet. After all, he will only have the strength to cry when he is full. Supreme Elder, are you a devil? Roar. At this moment, a furry paw appeared on Zhu Yuanbo's shoulder. It seemed to be patting him comfortingly. Zhu Yuanbo was stunned and subconsciously turned his head. Damn. Brother Shabi, it's you. Roar. The ceiling flame Lion King roared twice, and then wrote a lion character. He raised a small sign and said, "Correction, Master Lion is now Shabi, the great Demolish Heaven Gate sect leader, the founder of the Demolish Word Art. Do you understand? Although I don't know what it is, it seems very powerful," Zhu Yuanbo said and then moved closer. "Oh right, Brother Shabi, ancestor was cuckolded." Roar! Master Lion is now called Sha Tian. Sigh, Brother Shabi, I really pity the patriarch. Roar! Master Lion is called Sha Tian. Brother Shabi, roar! Angry out of humiliation. By the way, Brother Shabi, when did you return to the heavenly spirit domain? Howling grass! I'll bite you to death. In the sky. The young man took a step into the void and appeared beside Luo Wuqing. In the next moment, he stretched out his hand and pulled her into his embrace. The entire process was smooth and practiced. F***ck. Seeing this scene, the onlookers below widened their eyes. That person actually hugged the Empress in his arms. Most importantly, the Empress didn't struggle. She didn't struggle at all. Ancestral Master, rest in peace. Patriarch, don't cry. Be strong. The grassland of the human world. Hey! Who's so wicked to even sing? At this moment, the group of people who saw this scene in the Tianma cult exploded like a pot of boiling water. None of them could remain calm. Haha, can't you all be quiet? Give them some space to be quiet. At this moment, the melodious voice that sounded like a silver bell rang out behind everyone. The Supreme Elder and the others were stunned for a moment. They turned around one by one and saw Sui Weiyao standing behind them. Beside her was a white-clothed woman holding a black bell. She was quietly standing to the side. Holy Lord, you're back? The group of people was a little surprised. Sui Weiyao smiled and nodded. I remember that the Holy Lord went to the firmament territory to find the Patriarch, right? Since the Holy Lord is back, does that mean the Patriarch is back too? That guy in the sky. The more the Supreme Elder spoke, the stranger his expression became. Hearing this, the Patriarch and the others fell silent for a few seconds. Ha ha ha. What did I just say? I didn't say anything. What a coincidence, so did I must have lost my memory. Yes, I didn't say anything. I'm Shoppy, so I said the Patriarch was cuckolded. Yes, fortunately, I'm not, so I didn't say anything. Ahem. It seems that everyone has lost their memory. The Supreme Elder coughed dryly and winked at the group of people. If the Patriarch found out that they were spreading rumors about the Patriarch being cuckolded, they were finished. No. You just said the Patriarch was cuckolded. Zhu Yuanbo looked at the crowd with an innocent face. Get lost. In an instant, the group of people's faces darkened. In the sky, the two of them hugged tightly. Ning Tian buried his head in her hair and unscrupulously smelled the familiar scent. After a while, he raised his head and looked into the eyes of the person he had missed for a long time. Honey, did you miss me? Ning Tian's lips curved into a smirk. Luo Wuqing didn't say anything. Her pretty face was still cold, but there was a trace of different emotions in the depths of her eyes. She nodded and opened her red lips slightly. I miss, she saw. Before she finished speaking, Ning Tian's face suddenly enlarged in her eyes. Her bright red lips were captured by Ning Tian. Woo-woo, she gently hammered Ning Tian's back with her lily-white hand and symbolically struggled for a while. But when she felt the familiar scent, she quickly stopped struggling and responded in a somewhat unfamiliar but serious manner. Seeing this, Ning Tian couldn't help but smile. This silly wife, they were obviously an old couple, but she was still so distant. At this moment, the wind was lonely and quiet. It was as if heaven and earth were cooperating with this pair of people they had met for a long time. Below, the group of people of the Tianma cult looked at this scene. Although they felt a little jealous, they all laughed foolishly, their eyes full of gratification. Sui Weiyao snorted and licked her red lips. She also wanted a kiss. Although she was a little jealous, the corners of her mouth still rose. After a long time, their lips parted. The two breathed a little heavily and looked at each other silently. Looking at the blush hidden under the cold face, Ning Tian's lips curved into a smirk. He looked at Luo Wuqing and laughed. Wife, do you want to do it again? Is that so? Luo Wuqing smiled beautifully and looked at Ning Tian with her beautiful eyes. Her lily-white hands had already skillfully placed on the soft flesh of his waist. Ha! We have time to talk about life, ha ha. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. Even if they hadn't seen each other for half a year, his wife was still that familiar wife. On the ground. At this time, the people of the Tianma cult finally reacted. They all looked at Ning Tian with bright eyes, their eyes full of excitement, and their faces flushed red with excitement. It's the founder. The founder is finally back. That man, he's back. Chapter 436. That man was back. The disciples of the Tianma cult widened their eyes in excitement. At this moment, they felt that their faith had returned. Senior brother, who is that man? A junior sister who had just joined the sect blinked her big eyes and looked curiously at the young man who was holding the Empress in the sky. Why did his appearance make her senior brothers and sisters so happy? Junior sister, that man is the Patriarch. He is the faith of the Tianma cult and the entire Tianling region. You just came out and don't know anything. The Patriarch is a legend, the senior brother of the Tianma cult said with a smile. His gaze fell on the young man in the sky, full of fanaticism. Legend, the junior sister's eyes widened and she muttered to herself. She felt as if there was a deer running around in her heart. Which girl didn't yearn for love? She suddenly had a lot of associations in her heart. Everyone, long time no see. I'm back. In the sky, Ning Tian gently released Luo Wuqing. There was a trace of a smile on her lips as she looked at the crowd. The aura on her body dissipated, and a smiling face appeared before the crowd. Why do I feel that the Patriarch has become more handsome? Yes. He's only a little more handsome than me, Zhu Yuanhua. But the Patriarch is also a ruthless person. He made himself a cuckold. Below, exclamations continued to sound. You shocked Zhu Yuanhua. You shocked the Grand Elder. You shocked the Lord of the Heavenly Nation. Host has achieved an achievement. You made yourself a cuckold. You are rewarded with 100 million points. At this time, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Hearing this, Ning Tian's mouth twitched and he fell silent. When did I make myself a cuckold? Are you sure it's not your imagination? Also, what the hell is this 100 million points? The system said seriously, with 100 million points, the host's mind will become stronger. This way, you will be invincible, and then… I'm sorry, this system can't continue. Laughing. Ning Tian's mouth twitched. Speaking of which, didn't you all imagine a lot of dirty things just now? Ning Tian revealed a kind smile as he looked at the Grand Elder and the others. Seeing this smile, the Grand Elder and the others were stunned for a moment, and their hearts immediately trembled. Something was wrong. Why was the Patriarch smiling so strangely? Patriarch's smile is so kind. At the side, Zhu Yuanhua still didn't understand the seriousness of the matter. He looked at Ning Tian and said, That's right. The Grand Elder and the others said that you were cuckolded. What a pitiful man. Hearing this, Ning Tian smiled even more kindly. F***CK, Heavenly Treasure Holy Master, I suggest that your Holy Son strengthen his intelligence. What Holy Son? The Heavenly Treasure Holy Land doesn't have a Holy Son. The Supreme Elder and the others were going crazy. We haven't seen each other for half a year, and your strength doesn't seem to have improved much? In the sky, Ning Tian looked at everyone with a smile. Then, during my time in the Heavenly Spirit region, I will give you all some devil training. Hearing this, the corners of everyone's mouth twitched and they wanted to cry. Damn it. Do you think everyone is a genius like you? You want to improve in half a year? Dream on. Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing and said with a smile, Okay, honey, I think you all must have a lot of questions. Let's go to the demonic palace and talk slowly. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded and coldly said, Okay. In the main hall, the old acquaintances of the heavenly spirit region all sat down, and their eyes fell on Ning Tian. And they also noticed a new face standing beside Su Yueyao, Bai Lu, who was quietly holding the death bell. In the main hall, Ning Tian looked at Luo Wuqing with a smile and said slowly, Honey, you definitely can't imagine that I came back a few days ago, and, however, before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Luo Wuqing. Her cold voice sounded. Furthermore, you went to drive out those extraterrestrial powers. Hearing this, Ning Tian was stunned. What? So, the enemy that Zhu Yuanbao spoke of as Patriarch? Everyone was shocked. Boo-hoo, on the side, Zhu Yuanbo turned sideways and whistled as if nothing had happened. Hiss, honey, how did you know? Could it be that you read the script? Ning Tian frowned slightly, feeling that something was wrong. No. Luo Wuqing shook her head slightly. Yueyao told me. Huh? Ning Tian was silent for a moment and looked at Su Yueyao on the side. Shocked. He was stabbed in the back by his little wife. It's over. Is this the moment they return to the heavenly spirit region? The little wife and little wife are united? At this moment, Su Yueyao was also looking at him. While giggling, she playfully stuck out her tongue at him. Honey, there's nothing we can do about it. The moment we stepped into the heavenly spirit region, Wuqing noticed it. Su Yueyao spread her hands. Hearing this, Ning Tian shook his head helplessly. It seemed that his wife's strength had improved a lot. He deliberately chose a place furthest away from the Tianma cult to appear, but he didn't expect that he still couldn't escape Luo Wuqing's perception. Although part of the reason was related to the small size of the heavenly spirit region, it was also related to Luo Wuqing's improvement in strength. You shocked everyone. Reward. Devil Training Card. Devil Training Card. Start training to improve strength. While leading everyone in cultivation, everyone's cultivation speed will be increased by 2 times. The host's cultivation speed will be increased by 5 times. Everyone's spiritual energy can be used to replenish the host. The more people there are, the more replenishment there will be. Oh. Hearing the system's voice, Ning Tian's lips curled up into a smile. He looked at everyone with a slightly meaningful gaze. Hiss, instantly, the Supreme Elder and the others trembled. They had a bad feeling in their hearts. The Patriarch was so kind. But Patriarch, although you've chased them away, will these people regret it and come to take revenge? At this moment, the ruler of the divine nation frowned, as if he had thought of something. Hearing this, the Supreme Elder and the others also frowned. The Patriarch did feel good to chase away these extraterritorial forces, but would this cause bad things? What did I chase them away? I didn't do it. It was the Blood Devil region. It was the One-Eyed Demon clan. What does it have to do with me? Ning Tian smiled innocently. Everyone was stunned. Then, Ning Tian slowly explained everything that had happened. A few minutes later. F***CK. Amazing, really amazing. As expected of the Patriarch, his means are really amazing. Haha, I was fortunate enough to experience the Patriarch's means, the ruler of the divine nation said proudly. Ruler, your hat is crooked. I don't have a hat. The ruler of the divine nation was dumbfounded. At the side, in the main hall, Luo Wuqing's beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian. The corners of her mouth curled up. She murmured, This guy is really likable. Jumping to the next stage, the plot may be more normal. Chapter 437. Ning Tian exterminated the One-Eyed Demon clan for her, and she was touched. However, Miss, Aren't you going to explain yourself? Luo Wuqing moved closer, his voice cold. His jade-like hands were already placed on the soft flesh on Ning Tian's waist. You don't have to worry about me, I'll just hug myself, Bai Lu said quietly, then hugged herself and hid in a corner. What's going on? This lady is inexplicably cute. In the main hall, a group of people saw this scene and widened their eyes. Then think about it. She's a demigod, Su Yueyao said quietly. Sorry to disturb you. Everyone laughed awkwardly and looked at Bai Lu, who had an indifferent expression and was quietly hugging the death bell. They were a little shocked in their hearts. No one had expected that this white-clothed lady was actually an expert at the demigod level. His ancestor is amazing. To be able to abduct such a powerful person, she's indeed a role model for our generation. Around them, voices kept ringing. Hearing these voices, Ning Tian knew that something was wrong. He could clearly feel that a certain lady's gaze was getting colder and colder. Moreover, the hand on his waist was also exerting some strength. Cough cough. Ning Tian coughed and looked at Luo Wuqing's cold eyes and said with a smile, "Wife, are you jealous?" "Jealous? How is that possible?" Luo Wuqing sneered. There was a trace of panic in her cold voice. "No, you are." "No, I'm not." "No, you are." "No, I'm not." At the side, a group of people watched with interest. "Are you two playing with the Russian dolls?" "Okay, actually, this is what happened." After an unknown period of time, Ning Tian smiled and leaned over to Luo Wuqing's ear. Using a voice that only the two of them could hear, he softly told her what happened at the Black Death Mountain. When Ning Tian's voice sounded in her ear, Luo Wuqing suddenly felt a little numb. Something was wrong, and her longing for this guy exploded. Even if the Empress was cold, she couldn't hide her passion in front of Ning Tian. This guy's chest is so warm. Luo Wuqing leaned gently against Ning Tian's chest. The corners of his mouth curled up as he muttered to himself. Wife? Did you hear what I just said?" When Ning Tian finished speaking, she looked at Luo Wuqing, who was in a daze. She tried calling out to him a few times. Luo Wuqing came back to her senses and blushed. She quickly returned to her usual coldness. I heard. I also know about Bai Lu. As for that endless sea, let me know when you plan to go. I'll go with you. I'm worried." Her beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian and said seriously, "Okay." Looking at Luo Wuqing's sudden panic and clumsily covering up her panic, Ning Tian couldn't help but laugh. "This silly wife is too cute, isn't she?" "Wife, it's been hard on you for the past 6 months." Ning Tian gently hugged Luo Wuqing and felt that soft body. Suddenly, a long-lost sense of familiarity came up. "Yes, I haven't hugged her for a long time, but my wife is still as soft and fragrant as before." Hearing those gentle words, Luo Wuqing's body trembled. Her heart couldn't help but soften, and her body was a little hot. This appearance, obviously, she was moved. "Love. By the way, don't you need to cultivate?" At this moment, in the main hall, Su Yueyao's voice sounded. She looked at the crowd with a smile on her face. "Cultivate? I just finished cultivating yesterday." The group of people didn't understand. "Really?" Su Yueyao's beautiful eyes flashed with a glimmer. Then, she giggled and looked at Bai Lu. "Bai Lu, do you want to show them what the sound of the death bell is?" The sound of the death bell. Bai Lu was suddenly interested. Her jade-like hand quietly stroked the death bell in her arms. "Wait. I suddenly want to cultivate. I can't control the power in my body. I'm going to cultivate the sunflower scripture." "Well, count me in too." As soon as they saw Bai Lu stroking the death bell in her arms, the Supreme Elder and the others in the main hall couldn't stay calm. Although they didn't know what that thing was, it looked strange. It was better to run away first. Soon, the group of people walked out of the main hall. In the main hall, only Ning Tian, Luo Wuqing, Su Yueyao, and Bai Lu were left. "Hee husband Wuqing, you can continue." Su Yueyao giggled. She didn't give Ning Tian a chance to speak and pushed the confused Bai Lu out of the main hall. Huh. Don't you want to listen to the sound of the death bell? Hee well, I'll listen to it when I have the chance. Okay, Ovo. The two women's voices gradually faded away. There was a loud rumble. Sui Weiyao was very considerate and closed the door for the two of them. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's mouth slightly lifted. His heart was full of gratitude. As expected of a small wife. Hubby didn't spoil you for nothing. When the chance comes, I'll reward you well. He lowered his head slightly and gently hugged Luo Wuqing in his arms. Wife, he said. Luo Wuqing nodded. Her beautiful eyes were full of doubts. Ning Tian smirked and whispered something in her ear. Suddenly, Luo Wuqing's pretty face blushed. She buried her head in Ning Tian's chest and grabbed the clothes on his chest. Wife, if you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. Ning Tian's mouth raised a trace of a smirk. His hands were also a little naughty. Wait. At this moment, Luo Wuqing's voice, which was as soft as a mosquito, sounded from the side. She raised her eyes slightly. Her beautiful eyes were as gentle as the Luo River. Don't be here. Let's go back to the room. As soon as these words came out, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a touch of heat. Like an imperial edict, he instantly held Luo Wuqing in his arms, then stepped into the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the room, Luo Wuqing was lying on the bed, looking at Ning Tian. Husband, what are you waiting for? Even the cold Luo Wuqing couldn't control her inner thoughts of Ning Tian at this moment. As the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. After hearing this sentence, Ning Tian's eyes flashed with a touch of fanaticism. Then, he directly pounced on her. When dry wood meets a raging fire. Naturally, one would understand. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. These days, the Supreme Elder and the others found a very serious problem. That was, in these days, the Patriarch, the Empress, and the Holy Lord inexplicably disappeared. They couldn't find them no matter how hard they tried. It was really strange. The author's words, the new year is over. Thank you for your support for this book this year. Thank you again. I wish you a happy 2021 in advance. Get rich quickly and become a god of study. It will be even better. Sleep early. Good night. Chapter 438. At the Tianma cult. On the Heavenly Devil Square, a group of disciples were cultivating, and Zhu Yuanbao was supervising their cultivation. The Sealing Flame Lion King was also by his side, with an imposing manner. It had been very obedient these days. It had no intention of tearing down the Tianma cult's buildings. The buildings were very intact. According to Sha Tian, that was, Master Lion was not the kind of lion who would tear down a house casually. After all, you have to be careful when tearing down a house. Master Lion also has to be careful when tearing down a house. It is not because I am afraid of the Empress that I am so obedient. Humph. That was it. Master Lion would bite anyone who disagreed. Brother Sha Tian, where do you think the ancestral master, the Empress, and the Holy Master went? I haven't seen them for a few days. Zhu Yuanbo said doubtfully. At this moment, his face was bruised and swollen. He had also changed the way he addressed the Sealing Flame Lion King. However, he did not change it because the Sealing Flame Lion King beat him up. The injuries on his face were caused by the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Lord. That day, he warmly invited Brother Sha Bai to the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Ground. However, he soon regretted it. When the golden light appeared in the sky, the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Ground collapsed at a speed visible to the naked eye. As a result, he was hung up and beaten by the Heavenly Treasure Sacred Lord and was forced to change the way he addressed him. Roar! Roar! The Sealing Flame Lion King roared twice in a serious manner. He took out the small notebook that he always carried with him and started writing in the shape of a lion. When they saw this scene, many disciples in the surroundings widened their eyes in shock. What the hell? A demonic lion was riding? What was going on? Hey, you guys probably don't know, right? On the training ground, a senior brother smiled and looked at the group of junior brothers and sisters. He then pointed at the Sealing Flame Lion King and whispered, "That is the Sealing Flame Lion King, the ancestral master's right-hand man." It's said that the Flaming Lion King played a significant role in the battle against the true demon at the Jade Lake. It's said that he used a demonic beast technique called righteous energy. He helped the ancestral master and the empress kill the true demon. What? Who would have thought that such a small creature would have such an ability? Sure enough, those who can follow by Patriarch's side are definitely not ordinary people. It's a pity that I'm not a demonic beast. Otherwise, I would also want to learn that overwhelming righteousness demonic beast secret art. That's a secret art that can even defeat a true devil. Hearing this senior brother's words, the group of ignorant junior brothers and sisters all widened their eyes. What's this? The Patriarch has left behind a magnificent legacy in the entire heavenly spirit realm. The senior brother's lips curled into a smile as he proudly looked at his junior brothers and sisters who were chattering around him. Really? Senior brother, tell us about it. We also wish to know about the deeds of our ancestor. Well, I won't be able to explain it in a short time. We'll explain it to you slowly after the cultivation is over. Yay. You're reading on novel full thanks. At the side. Zhu Yuanbu's eyes widened when he saw the lion-shaped words written on the small book held by the flame-sealing Lion King. His eyes were filled with deep shock as he gasped. Brother Shatian, you mean, after your analysis of the spiritual qi transfer, the Patriarch's emotions, the Empress's fear, and a series of other complicated theories, you discovered that the Patriarch, the Empress, and the Holy Lord are probably doing something grand and sacred? Moreover, this kind of thing can only be done between husband and wife? Most importantly, they have to take off their clothes to do this kind of thing? Zhu Yuanbu looked shocked. Roar. The flame-sealing Lion King nodded heavily. Master Lion's analysis could not be wrong. I see. Hiss. I didn't expect the Patriarch to be so evil. Zhu Yuanbao sucked in a breath of cold air, gritted his teeth, and said with an indignant look, "The Patriarch actually didn't tell me that he knew how to use the fire cupping technique. Recently, I've been feeling weak. This won't do. When I find the Patriarch, I will definitely make him give me a fire pot." That's right. The thing that Sha Tian analyzed was cupping. Somewhere in the void, a huge battleship was floating in the void. It had been staying in the void for several days. It had to be said. With this void ship, it was really convenient. Not only could one step into the void, but the void ship did not lack anything. There were rooms, soft beds, and so on. This was great. In the room. Chew. A sneeze was heard. Ning Tian touched his nose and muttered, "Which bastard is talking bad about me?" As a celestial Dharch realm expert, unless he ate poison or got poisoned, it was impossible for him to catch a cold like this. If he sneezed, it meant that someone was talking bad about him. Could it be Old Su? I don't know if that guy escaped from the blood demon territory, Ning Tian murmured, but he did not care. He turned over and tried to hug Luo Wuqing, but Luo Wuqing dodged him. She rolled her eyes at Ning Tian angrily. "I'm tired. Go find Yueyao." Yueyao, the corner of Ning Tian's mouth twitched. He looked at Su Yueyao, who was sleeping soundly and held his forehead helplessly. This woman looked fierce, but in fact she was tired in a short while. But looking at the vigilant Luo Wuqing, Ning Tian pursed his lips. These demigod realm experts did not seem to be a match for him. By the way, wife. At this moment, Ning Tian thought of something and shuddered. He approached Luo Wuqing. What do you want?" Luo Wuqing hugged the quilt with a vigilant expression to protect herself. It was not that she disliked Ning Tian, but this guy was like a bull. There was no end to it. I want, no. Ning Tian answered instinctively. But soon, he realized that something was wrong. He coughed dryly and touched his nose. Luo Wuqing's pretty face blushed. This guy, what do you want to say? She raised her eyes slightly and looked at Ning Tian. I have a gift for you. Ning Tian chuckled. Then, he mysteriously took out an item from his storage ring. When the black light covering it dissipated, a corset of armor appeared in front of Luo Wuqing. Wife, this is for you. Luo Wuqing was silent for a moment. Then, she looked at Ning Tian with disdain. Are you a pervert? No. No, you are. No. Thus, the husband and wife carried out their daily conversation. After a while, stop. Ning Tian reached out his hand and quickly stopped her. Then, he smiled helplessly. Wife, this is a special way of giving gifts in my hometown. It is said that this is the way to give a woman you love. Luo Wuqing looked at Ning Tian suspiciously. Why haven't I heard that there is such a strange way in the Tianxian continent? Cough, the Tianxian continent is so big. Wife, you definitely don't know everything. Ning Tian coughed dryly and spouted nonsense with a straight face. Okay, come, try it. How about, hubby will wear it for you personally. Get lost, author's words. Dear cute and handsome readers, Happy New Year's Day. I will go to sleep for the first time in 2021. When I wake up, I will continue to update. Chapter 439. In the room. Looking at the black breastplate in Ning Tian's hands, Luo Wuqing frowned and fell into a long silence. She was trying to convince herself that her husband was not a pervert. However, in the profound sky world, there was no habit of giving women breastplates. Wife, why are you in a daze? This is a good thing. This breastplate should be a divine artifact. But with your strength, it will be difficult for you to fully display the characteristics of a divine artifact. Ning Tian said with a smile. After all, for a divine artifact to fully display its functions, one must at least have the same strength. Divine artifact? Hearing this, Luo Wuqing was stunned. After not seeing him for half a year, her husband even had a divine artifact? What did he do? A divine artifact, Ning Tian said, and then reached out his hand to touch Luo Wuqing's body. He quickly retracted his hand. The size is suitable. I remember correctly. Only you can wear this breastplate. Luo Wuqing gritted her teeth and her face was slightly red. This guy's perverted hand suddenly reached over. Alright, wife, try it. Ning Tian said impatiently. He swore that it was not because he wanted to see his wife change clothes. He just wanted to see the power of this breastplate. Yes, that was it. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly and then reached out her hand to take the breastplate from Ning Tian. But the moment she took it, her expression suddenly turned cold. Then, the spirit energy behind her turned into a pair of scissors. She raised her eyes and looked at Ning Tian. The corner of her mouth raised into a cold arc. My dear husband, don't you have any explanation for this corset armor? Cough cough. Hearing this, Ning Tian coughed and his old face darkened. Ahaha. Luo Wuqing's mouth raised into a smile and a cold light flashed in her beautiful eyes. She stood up slightly and walked towards Ning Tian, gently pressing on his body. If you don't say it properly, I'm afraid. Then, her hand reached out to a place. Hiss, Ning Tian's body trembled. Looking at the peerless face in front of him, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Speak? Or not? Luo Wuqing came over, almost lying on his chest. Cough cough, tell me. Ning Tian coughed dryly. Although the current position was very comfortable, if the spirit scissors on his wife's back weren't careful, there was a possibility that he and his wife would be separated from each other. Then, he told them about the Death Overlord. So that's how it is. Luo Wuqing got up from Ning Tian's body and retracted his hand. He glanced at Ning Tian and said, "You stole someone's armor while you were at it. Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose? You are a pervert, aren't you?" "Hey, how can you always say that your husband is a pervert?" Ning Tian snappily complained. I said, "That was just an accident. There was no other way." He couldn't say that it was the system's fault. He could only take the blame himself. Luo Wuqing snorted and then looked at the breastplate in her hand. Her eyebrows relaxed slightly and the corner of her mouth raised slightly. "All right then, I'll accept this gift." Wife, don't you dislike things that others have used?" Ning Tian was a little surprised. As an empress, Luo Wuqing naturally had her cold pride. She never liked things that others have used. However, he was an accident. Being able to share a husband with Sui Weiao was also an accident. I learned it from you. After all, it's a divine artifact. It would be a waste if I don't take it. As the saying goes, if you marry a chicken, follow the chicken. If you marry a dog, follow the dog. Luo Wuqing said with an innocent face. Ning Tian's mouth twitched. He wasn't a chicken. Luo Wuqing's mouth raised into a smile. There was a trace of warmth in her heart. She didn't say anything because this thing was given to her by Ning Tian. She couldn't bear to reject it. "All right. Quickly turn your back. I'm going to change my clothes," Luo Wuqing said and urged. "Oh, okay." Although Ning Tian replied with an "oh," he didn't move his body. It was obvious that he didn't want to turn his body. He wanted to see what she could do to him. Luo Wuqing was silent for a moment. Then, after looking at Ning Tian lovingly, a rustling sound could be heard. A touch of white jade, soft and tender. Ning Tian looked at it with great interest. Anyway, he wasn't looking at other women. It shouldn't be a problem to look at his wife, right? After a while. Is it nice?" Luo Wuqing covered her breasts with her hands and asked Ning Tian with a blush on her pretty face. "You're blocking this. How can I look at it?" Ning Tian facepalmed. The next moment, Luo Wuqing put down her hands. "It's nice." Ning Tian looked over. Her taste was indeed right. When first wife wore it, it was really perfect. Not a single bit more. It was just right. "That's good." Luo Wuqing breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, Ning Tian stroked his chin and pondered seriously for a moment before saying, "However, how powerful is this god artifact? Do you want me to give it a try?" "Even if you punch it, it's useless. Even if I don't wear it, your punch won't cause any harm to me," Luo Wuqing said very straightforwardly. Ning Tian was silent and then looked at Luo Wuqing seriously. "I think you're looking down on me." "No." When Luo Wuqing spoke, her eyes obviously looked to the left with a guilty look. "It seems that I still need to restore my position as the husband." Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's face darkened. His wife was rebelling. "Hey, what are you doing?" "Nothing, just restoring my position as the husband," Ning Tian said casually. When Sui Weiao woke up and saw the two people beside her, she also joined the battle. According to her, she would not allow Luo Wuqing to be bullied by Ning Tian, so she wanted to share the burden with her. Ahem. A few days later. Tianma cult. Boo-hoo. Ancestral Master, I finally get to see you. I missed you so much. When Ning Tian, Luo Wuqing, and Sui Weiao appeared in the Tianma cult square, Zhu Yuanbo rushed over without saying a word, wiping his tears and snot. "What are you trying to do?" Ning Tian pushed him away with a look of disgust. "What was this damn fatty trying to do?" "Ancestral Master, Zhu Yuanbo looked at Ning Tian with embarrassment and blushed a little. "Hey, why is a man like you blushing?" He took off his clothes and turned his back to Ning Tian. "Ancestral Master, come on. I need you to cuff me." Ning Tian was stunned for a moment and looked at Zhu Yuanbo with a strange expression. Was this guy crazy? "Ancestral Master, quick. I can't control the power in my body anymore. My back will only bloom for you." Zhu Yuanbo blushed and said to Ning Tian. "Get lost. Feeling the strange gazes of his two wives, Ning Tian's face darkened. He kicked Zhu Yuanbo away. Of course, he did not use any strength. Otherwise, he would have kicked him to death. Soon, Zhu Yuanbo turned into a shooting star and disappeared. Wow, oh! Senior brother Zhu Yuanbo is really fat and can fly. Seeing this scene, a group of disciples who were cultivating in the heavenly Devil Square widened their eyes in admiration. In the future, they also wanted to fly like this. Chapter 440. Inside the Heavenly Demon Hall. Everyone, I haven't seen you for so many days. Have you been cultivating well? Ning Tian smiled as he looked at the Supreme Elder and the others below. While speaking, he noticed that except for the Supreme Elder, everyone else's face was a bit ugly. That expression seemed to be depressed? Roar. At this moment, there was a lion's roar. They saw. A little lion proudly passed by the entrance of the hall. In an instant, except for the Supreme Elder, everyone's eyes became bitter as they gritted their teeth and looked at the little lion. As for why it was like this, after all, aside from the Sky Demon cult, every other sect had seen the golden radiance of the word demolish in the sky. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian immediately reacted. It seems that Sha Tian didn't forget to cultivate the word dismantle during this period of time. Oh right, where's Bai Lu? Ning Tian seemed to have thought of something and looked around. After relaxing for a while, it was time to prepare to go to the Endless Sea region. Miss Bai Lu? Hearing this, the Supreme Elder and the others were taken aback and scratched their heads. It seems, I don't seem to have seen Miss Bai Lu during this period of time. Hey, now that you mention it, I don't seem to have seen Miss Bai Lu. In the hall, a group of people were discussing. Could it be that Bai Lu returned to the Black Earth Dead Mountain? Ning Tian frowned slightly and murmured. He guessed in his heart. Could it be that he disappeared for a few days and Bai Lu directly returned to the Black Earth Dead Mountain? I'm here. At this moment, Bai Lu's calm voice sounded. In the dark, Bai Lu hugged the dead bell and squatted in the corner. There was a layer of dust on the dead bell, and there was also a layer of dust on her head. Sure enough, the dead bell was her original body. Bai Lu? Why are you squatting here? Seeing this scene, Ning Tian couldn't help but be stunned. This girl. How long has she been squatting in the hall? As for why she was squatting in the dark corner, it had to do with her being in a dark place like the Black Earth Dead Mountain all year round. So cute. Su Yueao's eyes lit up at the sight of Bai Lu. I'm waiting for you, Bai Lu casually said. Then, she stood up and gently wiped away the dust that had accumulated on the death bell in her arms. At the same time, the dust on her head also disappeared. Everyone was shocked. As expected, Death Bell is White Willow's true body. Bai Lu, I need you to do me a favor. Cultivate for a period of time. After you're fully prepared, it's about time to leave for the Endless Sea realm, Ning Tian said in a deep voice as he looked at Bai Lu. Help, what do you want me to do? Bai Lu walked over with Death Bell in his arms. It's simple. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. He looked at the group of people in the hall and said, You will know later. None of these people will be able to escape. The Supreme Elder and the others in the hall were stunned when they saw the founding ancestors smile, and then they suddenly recalled the devilish training that the founding ancestor had spoken of. This was probably the reason why they were called over today. In an instant, everyone's heart skipped a beat. Bai Lu, later, you just have to play the sound of the death bell. Play it however you want. Don't worry. Even if it dies, I have a way to save it. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile as he looked at the crowd. Hiss, in an instant, the group of people felt a chill in their hearts. Let's go, everyone. Ning Tian slowly got up, and the smile on his face became more and more brilliant. Seeing this scene, Luo Wuqing and Su Yueao helplessly held their foreheads. After torturing the two of them, it seemed that Ning Tian was going to torture the Supreme Elder and the others. Dozens of minutes later, In a mysterious space. Founding ancestor, where is this? The Supreme Elder looked around. It was eerie and strange, and he was trembling. The Tianma cult, the Supreme Kingdom of God, the Heavenly Treasure Holy Land, the Great Compassion Palace, and other forces that belonged to the Tianma cult were all in this strange space. A place that can make you stronger. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth lifted slightly. This was the training space created by using the Devil's Training Card. With so many people coming in, there should be a lot of spiritual energy replenishing me, right? Seeing so many people, Ning Tian smiled helplessly. It seemed that the Supreme Elder and the others were also ruthless people. He casually said that they could bring others in to train together. However, this group of people pulled a large group of people in with the spirit that they would rather die than die with their fellow Taoists and die together. Especially the Lord of the Heavenly Kingdom. This guy didn't even let go of his youngest prince. Everyone, get ready. Ning Tian looked at the crowd with a kind smile, then looked at Bai Lu who was holding the death bell beside him and said, Bai Lu, let's begin. Play the death bell to your heart's content. Okay. Bai Lu nodded and touched the death bell with her jade-like hand. Dong. With the addition of the death bell, the originally devilish training space became even more brutal. The sound of crying continued to ring out. While Ning Tian and the others were undergoing the devilish training, the leaders of the major domains were furious. The experts they had sent out were either dead or injured. They had thought that the celestial spirit domain, which was the smallest of the 9 domains, would dare to do such a thing. However, they were even more furious when they found out the truth. Damn it! The one-eyed devil clan of the Blood Devil region dared to be so arrogant. Even if the Devil Clan was one of the 3 clans in the profound sky world, they couldn't go against the 9 regions. So, the masters of the major regions became angrier and angrier, and they all moved towards the Blood Devil region. At the very least, they had to ask for an explanation. Their people couldn't die in vain. Blood Devil region. Palace Master, when can we leave this Blood Devil region? This place is too damn big. An expert of the Void God Heavenly Palace panted heavily and looked at the Void God Emperor with a hopeless expression. The Void God Emperor fell into silence. The Ancestral Master had been gone for almost a month. In this month, they had been hiding in the Blood Devil region, carefully hiding their aura. This was why they weren't discovered by the Devil Clan. However, he really wanted to ridicule them. Why was the Blood Devil region so big? It was fine if it was big, but they hadn't even seen the shadow of a transmission pillar after walking for a month. Were the Devil Clan so poor that they couldn't even build a transmission pillar? Damn it! Boom! At this moment, heaven and earth shook, and the sound of something breaking through the air rang out. Many experts appeared in the sky. Damn it! Palace Master, look! What is that? The experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace panicked. Shut up! Be quiet, I have eyes. I can see everything. The Void God Emperor scolded, and then looked at the sky with a shocked expression. Oh my God! So many experts from other regions came to the Blood Devil region? What exactly did the Blood Devil region do to incur the wrath of both men and gods? Chapter 441. At this moment, thunderous booms resounded in the blood-red sky of the Blood Devil region. Terrifying and powerful auras shrouded the area. That terrifying aura. It was enough to disperse the thick demonic energy in the area. Demons of the Blood Devil domain, get out here. If you don't give me an explanation today, don't blame the experts of the various domains for making things difficult for you. The roar was like a thunderclap that resounded in all directions. F***CK. Palace Master, what's going on? Hearing this, the experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace, who were trying their best to hide their auras, were shocked. Could it be that the demons of the Blood Devil region had dug up the ancestral graves of the experts of the other regions? I don't know. Hearing the expert of the Void God Heavenly Palace beside him, Old Void rolled his eyes in annoyance. You ask me? Who the F***ck do I ask? Don't say anything. Let me think. Emperor Void God frowned and said to the experts of Void God Heavenly Palace beside him with a solemn expression. At this time, he had to use his brain. Think? Palace Master, what are you thinking about? With your intelligence. Hearing that the Void God Emperor wanted to think, the experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace trembled. The Palace Master's strength was indisputable, but with his intelligence, would he not screw them over? Shut up. The Void God Emperor scolded and frowned. All of you, quiet down. Let me think about what the Ancestral Master will do. Think about what the Ancestral Master will do. Hearing this, the experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace almost cried. Palace Master, what is the Ancestral Master's intelligence? What is your intelligence? How can it be the same? However, they could only think about it in their hearts. They did not dare to say it out loud. At this time, when the roar resounded in the sky, the devil chi in the surroundings surged out, and in an instant, several terrifying devil clan figures appeared in the sky. Northern Frosty Region, Extreme Coldness Palace, Desolate Region, Sand God Race. Why didn't you stay in your spirit region? Why did you come to my blood devil region? A hoarse voice rang in the sky. He listed the experts of the various regions in one sentence. There was a trace of confusion and impatience in his voice. What are we doing? How interesting! Have you forgotten how arrogant your blood devil region was? In the sky, that cold laughter rang out. A silhouette made of sand and gravel flickered. One could even faintly see the sand and gravel flowing out from his eyes. Clan leader Shachio, although our blood devil realm is arrogant, it seems that we haven't provoked so many experts recently, right? The hoarse voice sounded again, and the confusion in his words deepened. You really like to play dumb. Could it be that you really think that the fact that the Blood Devil realm sent a one-eyed devil expert to kill the spies that we sent to the Heavenly Spirit realm was flawless? Your Blood Devil region dares to do it, but you don't dare to admit it? Or does the Demon Emperor not have the courage to admit it? In the sky, the experts from various domains sneered. If we didn't do it, then we didn't do it. Why would we admit it? Moreover, this has nothing to do with the Devil Emperor. The Blood Devil region was the lair of the Devil race. In this region, there were the 3 royal families of the Demon race, as well as the Imperial family. However, the entire Demon Imperial tribe was preparing for the ancient road to becoming gods. Otherwise, how could these foreign experts be so arrogant? The foreign experts frowned when they saw how resolute the Demon race expert was. Their hearts wavered a little. Logically speaking, the Demon race wasn't stupid. They wouldn't openly provoke the other regions like this. Could it be was there a trap? At this time, in a place below. I understand now. All of this was part of the Ancestral Master's plan. The Void God Emperor's eyes widened with excitement. The Ancestral Master must have predicted this. After all, he's close to the Heavenly Secret Pavilion's Lord. He must have learned the Heavenly Secret technique long ago and predicted today's scene. There must be a great use for us to stay here. Is that so? Hearing this, the experts from the Void God Heaven Palace were shocked. However, based on how ridiculous the Ancestral Master was, all of this might be related to him. Perhaps the Ancestral Master really did have a great use for them to stay here. F***ck. The Ancestral Master is awesome. Haha. So that's how it is. As expected of the Ancestral Master. The Void God Emperor's eyes shone with a blazing light. Then, Palace Master, what should we do now? The experts from the Void God Heaven Palace were still confused. Now we have to think about what the Ancestral Master will do. If it's him, then he will. The Void God Emperor smiled confidently. He felt as if he was possessed by the Ancestral Master, and he had a bewitching confidence. in the sky. What you said seems to make some sense. Shachio, the clan leader of the Sand God clan, muttered to himself. The experts behind him were confused. Could it be that they had made a mistake? I told you that my blood devil realm would never do such a thing. Before the hoarse voice of the devil race expert had even finished speaking, a miserable shriek suddenly came from below. Is there anyone who can save us? Hearing this, in an instant everyone's gazes looked over. At the instant they looked over, their expressions all changed. Human experts? Old man Shienemo, you keep saying that your blood devil region didn't do such a thing. Why are there human experts in your blood devil region? In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on the group of people below. This Shienemo ancestor was also confused. Who was this person? The blood devil region's teleportation pillar didn't show any signs of being used recently. Why was there a human here? Everyone, help! I'm the palace master of the Void God Heaven Palace in the Firmament territory. Recently, I was attacked by the One-Eyed Demon clan in the Blood Devil region and was captured here. It took me a lot of effort to escape. The Void God Emperor thought about what the Ancestral Master would do, and his expression changed. Tears and snot flowed down his face. Right. He had to be shameless. However, he couldn't learn the Ancestral Master's level of shamelessness. Seeing the Palace Master like this, the experts of the Void God Heaven Palace were dumbfounded. F***CK. The Palace Master had turned into the Ancestral Master. The Void God Heaven Palace? The Firmament territory? And the One-Eyed Demon clan? Hearing this key information, the experts of the other domains frowned, and their eyes turned cold. First, they sent people to bring the Void God Emperor and the others up. Then, they looked coldly at the confused Shienemo ancestor. As the saying goes, don't believe the words of demons. We almost fell into your trap. The Blood Devil region. Humph! What a Blood Devil region! See you on the ancient road to godhood. Your Blood Devil region won't have a good ending. The experts of the other domains snorted coldly. Although they couldn't destroy the entire Blood Devil region, they could create many obstacles on the ancient road to godhood. They would remember this grudge. Chapter 442. The Black Demon Patriarch was stunned. The group of demons behind him were also dumbfounded. What the hell? What are these people talking about? Our blood demon realm offended a group of extraterrestrial experts for no reason? What the hell? At this moment, the Void God Emperor had already led the experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace to stand behind the extraterrestrial experts. He looked at them with tears streaming down his face and cried, "Thank you for your help, fellow Taoists. We almost fell into the One-Eyed Demon race's trap." Seeing their palace master crying, the experts of the Void God Heavenly Palace were dumbfounded. Their palace master's emotions were too stable. However, what they didn't know was that the reason Old Void could cry in 1 second was that he was scared out of his wits by the Ancestral Master and was forced to learn the technique. It's okay. The extraterrestrial experts waved their hands, but their expressions were a little strange. That's not right. When did they say they were going to take these people away? Seeing the expressions of the extraterrestrial experts, the Void God Emperor suddenly felt that something was wrong. He racked his brain and exhausted all his intelligence. At this moment, he thought about what the Ancestral Master would do. If it was the Ancestral Master, he would definitely take advantage of the situation. His eyes lit up. I understand now. In the next second, he said with tears and snot, "By the way, fellow Taoists, I have something to remind you of." What is it? The experts of the Desolate Realm, the Northern Frosty Realm, and the other realms instantly looked over and frowned slightly when they saw the Void God Emperor. I have a Grandmaster friend named Ning Buxu. He can predict the future. He's awesome. He once told me that the Blood Devil region might order the One-Eyed Devil clan to attack the cultivators heading to the Heavenly Spirit region. I just remembered now. When I saw you guys, I wanted to remind you. The One-Eyed Demon race has already attacked us. Fellow Taoists, please be careful. The Void God Emperor sighed. There's such a thing? Ning Buxu, there's actually such an expert? Hearing this, the extraterrestrial experts were shocked. They didn't expect there to be such a person in this world who could predict the future so accurately. It was really incredible. However, they sighed slightly. Thank you for your reminder, fellow Taoists. Unfortunately, the Blood Devil region has already attacked them. What? That's such a pity. The Void God Emperor sighed. Not far away, Black Demon Patriarch's face darkened. Hey! He couldn't help but take matters into his own hands and say, "We made a move. F***CKU. Seeing this scene, the Void God Heavenly Palace's experts all had wonderful expressions. Damn, the Palace Master was awesome. While praising the Ancestral Master, he was also able to push the boat along with the current. He had truly inherited the Ancestral Master's true teachings. Humph! Old Sue snorted coldly in his heart. Do you think that I didn't learn anything after being cheated by Patriarch so many times? The Patriarch had said. He had to apply what he had learned. I didn't expect you to be so considerate. We owe you a favor. Seeing the empty God Realm Emperor covered in wounds, with tears in his eyes, and a look of regret, the group of extraterrestrial experts was touched. What a good person! No. This matter was mainly because of my Ancestral Master's friend's prediction. He was the one who predicted it and asked me to inform you. However, I didn't expect to be targeted by the Blood Demon territory before I could do so. Sigh. The empty God Emperor sighed deeply, tears streaming down his face. It was heartbreaking to see him like this. That Ning Buxu? Even if it's him, we still want to get to know such a miraculous person. The group of extraterrestrial experts felt a trace of respect when they thought of Ning Buxu, who could predict heaven's secrets. He could predict heaven's secrets, and he could predict so accurately. He must be a powerful expert. Fellow Void God, even if we can't avenge you today, we can protect you. However, we can keep you safe and send you back to the firmament territory safely. As for fellow Taoist Ning Buxu, we'll definitely thank him in person when we have the chance. The Sand Autumn clan leader laughed. He was a man of temperament. Everyone, let's go. As for the Blood Demon territory, you're on your own. The experts of the other territories snorted coldly, then led the group of extraterrestrial experts out of the Blood Demon territory. Seeing this scene, those from the Void God Heaven Palace were overjoyed. Damn! They had been here for so long, and they could finally leave. It turned out that thinking about what the Ancestral Master would do was really useful. Damn! The Ancestral Master was amazing. After the extraterrestrial experts left, Patriarch Xian Mo and the others were still in a daze above the Blood Demon territory. They didn't know what to do. Patriarch, did we offend someone? It seems so, but how did we offend someone? The moment he said that, the wind quieted down, and the surging demonic energy in the surroundings stopped. Yes, they had offended someone. Moreover, it was an expert from several territories. But how did they offend someone? They didn't know. It was just so sudden. After a while, they came to their senses. Mo Xing, go and report this to the Demon Imperial Tribe. Patriarch Xian Mo's eyes flashed coldly. Maybe these territories discussed this and did it on purpose. These people are cunning. If they want to attack my Blood Demon territory, just say so. Why did they have to use such despicable means to slander us? Yes, Patriarch. A demonic figure nodded slightly and quickly disappeared. Patriarch, what about us? An expert from the demon clan asked Patriarch Xian Mo, let's go to the Devil Valley. This old man wants to see what those one-eyed demons have done. Patriarch Xian Mo snorted coldly and then rushed toward the Devil Valley with several demonic figures. Dozens of minutes later, the Devil Valley, HM? Where are the one-eyed demons? Patriarch Xian Mo was a little confused. There wasn't a single one-eyed demon in the Devil Valley. Even their buildings were gone. Patriarch, the experts from the demon clan returned to his side and frowned. We've searched the surroundings, but there isn't any aura of the one-eyed demons. They don't seem to be in the Devil Valley anymore. HM? Could it be that those fellows really did that? So they felt guilty and collectively moved? Patriarch Xian Mo was shocked. There were indeed some demons in the blood demon territory who didn't agree with them. Could it be that they had instructed them to do so? It seems that those demons are a scourge. In my opinion, it's better to turn them into nourishment for the royal clan. Patriarch Xian Mo snorted coldly, his heart filled with killing intent. Let's go. Yes, Patriarch. They turned into shadows and disappeared without a trace. Thousands of meters underground in the Devil Valley, corpses were buried everywhere. On the way back to the Firmament territory, Palace Master, why did we go through so much trouble to bury the one-eyed demons? You don't understand. If our patriarch is such a kind person, he definitely wouldn't have left these corpses out in the cold. He would have been very considerate to bury them. Yes, he would have done that. Chapter 443. Tianling Region. A few days had passed. Dong. In the space created by the Devil Training Card, the sound of the death bell that had been ringing for a long time finally faded away. The group of people heaved a sigh of relief. It was finally over. In the past few days, they had witnessed what the true Devil Training Card was. I've become stronger. I almost died too. Phew, it's finally over. But the Ancestral Master is still cultivating. We can't go out for the time being. The Grand Elder heaved a sigh of relief. He felt that his old bones were about to fall apart. This thing was really life-threatening. He looked at a place not far away. The Ancestral Master was sitting cross-legged, floating in the void. Waves of spiritual energy were flowing into his body. It seemed that he still needed to cultivate for a while. Oh my God! That scared Master Zhu. I thought I was going to die. Zhu Yuanbo was sweating profusely. He felt that his body was empty and light. No. You're already dead? Come, have some horse meat to calm your nerve. The king of the kingdom of God shook his head and gently placed a piece of horse meat in Zhu Yuanbo's hand. Nonsense? Zhu Yuanbo rolled his eyes. Then, he took the horse meat in the king of the kingdom of God's hand and ate it in big bites. The horse meat was so delicious. How could Master Zhu die? The king of the kingdom of God must be lying to me so that he could eat the horse meat behind my back. Seeing Zhu Yuanbo eating the horse meat, the king of the kingdom of God and the Grand Elder shook their heads slightly. This silly child. Why didn't he believe it? However, the Ancestral Master's means were really powerful. He could kill Zhu Yuanbo and bring him back to life. It was ridiculous. However, speaking to that point, the Supreme Elder looked around. After discovering that he did not see that figure, he breathed a sigh of relief. However, Lady Bailu's death bell chime is too terrifying. I never would have thought that such a cute lady would be so terrifying when using the death bell. Yes, it's too scary. The king of the kingdom of God had a lingering fear. Dong. At this moment, there seemed to be a faint sound of a bell behind him. Instantly, their bodies trembled, and their expressions became somewhat ugly. The corners of their mouths twitched, and they trembled as they turned around. They saw the beautiful figure, who was hugging the death bell, floating over. She was faintly looking at them. Don't think that I'm not here. I'm always here. Bailu hugged Death Bell, looked at the two of them, and said faintly, "The king of the divine nation, Grand Supreme Elder, 3 black lines appeared on their foreheads as cold sweat poured down their backs. Damn! How could this girl appear and disappear so mysteriously? Ahaha, Miss Bai Lu, we definitely didn't say anything bad about you. The Supreme Elder laughed dryly, and then gave the Divine Nation Lord a meaningful look. That's right, the Supreme Elder is right. The King of the Divine Nation reacted and hurriedly said, Ah, right, I just remembered that I still have something to do. I have to go cultivate. Goodbye. Cough cough. Wait for me. The two of them quickly left. It seemed like Bai Lu's death bell had left quite a bit of trauma in their minds. Looking at the two people who left in a hurry, a question mark appeared on Bai Lu's head. These two, it was strange. Bai Lu shook her head slightly, and her gaze fell on Ning Tian, who was not far away. I wonder, how long will fellow Taoist Ning cultivate? She murmured. Not far away. Ning Tian sat cross-legged. At this moment, he did not know that old Su, who was left in the Blood Devil territory, had helped him push the boat with the current. He had also inexplicably received favors from the experts of several territories. It could be said that it was a godly assist, and now, he was absorbing the Oi Devil training card, and everyone was replenishing his spiritual energy. This spiritual energy was very large. If he absorbed it, he might be able to break through again. Then, he activated the Heavenly God record and unscrupulously absorbed the spiritual energy that was replenished. A few minutes later, Ning Tian slowly opened his eyes and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He looked slightly disappointed. It seemed that after absorbing so much spiritual energy, there was still a gap in his strength improvement. Just a little bit more. It seems that it's a little difficult to improve my strength once a month. I still have to work harder. Ning Tian sighed, stretched, and stood up. Suddenly, his bones creaked. At the side, the Supreme Elder and the Lord of the Divine Nation, who had just gotten rid of Bai Lu, happened to pass by. When they heard this, the corners of their mouths twitched. Fortunately, I'm deaf. Lord of the Divine Nation, did you hear anything just now? No, I'm deaf too. That's good. The two of them silently floated by. The Patriarch almost succeeded in showing off again. Hearing this, Ning Tian was silent for a moment. He raised his eyebrows and murmured with some doubts, Strange, isn't it normal to improve my strength once a month? As soon as his voice fell, not far away, the Supreme Elder and the Lord of the Divine Nation twitched their mouths. F***ck. They had not seen each other for half a year, and the Patriarch was still as inhuman as before. 12 minutes later, in the space generated by the devilish training card, everyone gathered together. I think everyone should have improved during this period of time. After leaving this space, I hope everyone will continue to work hard. Ning Tian smiled, looked at the group of people below, and said with a smile, Yes, Patriarch. Hearing this, the group of people was excited. It was because of the Patriarch that their strength had improved. The Patriarch is awesome and will always be a god. The 8 true words have reappeared in the world. It was also at this time when everyone looked at the system. Absorbing faith energy. Faith energy +1. Faith energy +2. Faith energy +3. Soon, the system's voice stopped. Currently, faith energy collected 10000100000. Finally, the collection is completed. Hearing the system's voice in his mind, Ning Tian smiled, then looked at everyone and said with a smile, Well, everyone, get ready to leave. We will continue to train like this when we have the chance. Again? Everyone was silent, and the corners of their mouths twitched. Originally, everyone was still immersed in the joy of finally being able to go out, but when they heard this, their smiles disappeared without a trace. Smack! Happiness, it was gone. When everyone came out of that space, they all greedily breathed in the fresh air and sighed in their hearts. It was so good to be alive. At this moment, 2 beautiful figures landed. "Hubby, you're finally out." Two fragrant breezes greeted him. Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiao both spoke at the same time, looking at Ning Tian with a hint of worry in their words. Hearing this, Ning Tian finally felt what it meant to have double the happiness. Seeing this scene from the side, everyone was jealous. What was a winner in life? The patriarch was a real winner in life. Bai Lu, on the other hand, was not jealous at all. She hugged herself and hid in a corner, drawing circles. "What's the matter?" Ning Tian looked at the two women with a smile at the corner of his mouth. He skillfully reached out his big hands, pulled them into his arms, and asked with a smile, "What happened?" Chapter 444. It seemed that the two girls were already used to this guy hugging each other in front of everyone. Anyway, according to a certain someone, they were already an old couple. What was there to be shy about? Being overly shy was just being pretentious. "Husband, Yueyao and I have been investigating what you told us to do." Luo Wuqing looked up slightly. From this angle, she just happened to see Ning Tian's side profile. But to be honest, in fact, she and Yueyao were only half a head shorter than Ning Tian. Hearing this, Ning Tian's interest was immediately piqued. He looked at the beautiful face and couldn't help but ask, "What did you find?" "It's not convenient to talk about it here." Luo Wuqing narrowed her beautiful eyes and said softly. Although the surrounding people were trustworthy, it was better not to spread this matter out for the time being. "Okay. Then let's talk on the void ship." Ning Tian nodded and looked at the Grand Elder and the others. "I have something to say to Wuqing and the others. You guys continue to cultivate. Don't slack off. Otherwise, the effects of the devil training will be wasted." "Yes, Ancestral Master." The Grand Elder and the others nodded. Ning Tian was still a little worried. He glanced at Bai Lu, who was hugging the death bell and squatting in the corner, and said softly, "Bai Lu, I'll have to trouble you to continue training them with the sound of the death bell. Let's see how it goes." "Oh," Bai Lu replied faintly and continued to draw circles. "Okay, let's go." After explaining the matter, Ning Tian didn't delay and stepped into the void with the two girls in his arms. They went directly to the void ship, leaving a group of people stunned on the spot. "Brother Sha Tian, the Ancestral Master took the Empress and Sacred Lord to cupping again?" Zhu Yuanbo looked at the fire-sealing Lion King and said indignantly, "The Ancestral Master didn't bring me along again?" Hearing this, Sha Tian rolled his eyes at him. "Cupping is such a sacred thing. Why would he bring a fatty like you along?" Hearing Zhu Yuanbo's words, everyone shook their heads. Sigh. This Tianbao holy son was truly too naive, right? What the Grandmaster, the Empress, and the Holy Lord were doing wasn't cupping at all. It was acupuncture. Yes, that's right. That must be it. "Miss Bai Lu, I'll have to trouble you later." The Grand Elder did not care about the crowd. Instead, he looked at Bai Lu with a smile. The look in his eyes was as if he was looking at someone of the same kind. "Huh." Bai Lu stopped drawing circles and raised his head. He blinked his eyes in confusion and looked at the Grand Supreme Elder. What 0v0? That was right. The Grand Supreme Elder's sense of intimacy came from the feeling of being a tool within the void ship. In the room, Ning Tian sat on the bed and looked at Luo Wuqing, who had a serious expression on her face, and asked, "Wife, are you saying that you've found clues about heavenly punishment?" In the past few days, while he was busy with his devil training, he didn't forget about his business. He purposely asked Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiao to investigate divine punishment while he was busy. And now there was finally a result. After all, when he chased away the other experts from the foreign lands, he had already asked around. Although these experts had found traces of the heavenly punishment, they had not found the exact location of the heavenly punishment. In other words, they could strike first and gain the upper hand. Yes, when I first heard the two words heavenly punishment, I thought it sounded familiar. I didn't expect it to be related to the ancient road to godhood. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly and continued, I checked the ancient books of the Tianma cult and the Jade Lake sacred ground and found that the heavenly punishment Tao only appears on the eve of the ancient road to godhood. It seems that the ancient road to godhood will open in the Tianling domain. When Tian Fa appears, yin and yang will converge and even space will be affected. The most important thing is that the place where Tian Fa is born needs a strong residual power. In the past few days, Yueyao and I have been searching everywhere. Finally, yesterday we found something. Luo Wuqing finished slowly. Su Yueyao chuckled and looked at Ning Tian with sparkling eyes. What a coincidence. Hubby, you should be familiar with that place, said Su Yueyao. Where is it? Ning Tian was stunned. The Chilling Wind Abyss. Su Yueyao said. The Chilling Wind Abyss? Ning Tian was startled and frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, he reacted. You mean, it's the Chilling Wind mountain range? Tian Fa was born there? Yes. Su Yueyao nodded with a smile. Since that day when Wuqing and Jingtian fought and turned the Chilling Wind mountain range into the Chilling Wind Abyss, the residual power of the great emperor didn't dissipate. Coincidentally, it became the place where Tian Fa was born. Chapter 128. Foreshadowing, I didn't expect it to be there. Hearing this, Ning Tian sighed. So much time had passed in the blink of an eye. He wondered if that old man Sanxing had a soul baby with Yao Xian, great emperor in the earth spirit domain. However, that place was indeed suitable for the birth of Tian Fa. The Chilling Wind mountain range was a place where yin and yang were not in harmony. Coupled with the great emperor's power that had not dissipated for a long time, it was indeed very suitable. Okay. Then we'll set off in a few days. Ning Tian nodded slightly, then looked at Luo Wuqing and said, But before we set off, I have a question to ask you, my wife. Ask me? Luo Wuqing frowned slightly and then nodded slightly. Who is Xingyang God to you? Ning Tian didn't waste any time and asked directly. He had wanted to ask for a long time, but he didn't have the chance because he was either creating a human or creating a human. Now that he finally had the time to talk about serious matters, he naturally had to ask clearly. Ahem. Hearing this, Luo Wuqing was obviously stunned. Then she looked at Ning Tian and asked, Husband, how did you know the name of Xingyang God? A dead fortune-teller told me. A dead fortune-teller? Sigh, that guy is not worth mentioning. Although Ning Tian said that, he still repeated what Chungajiang said. I see. Then he is indeed not worth mentioning. Luo Wuqing nodded slightly and then looked at Ning Tian's curious face. She was silent for a moment and then said, Xingyang God is my grandfather, and also your grandfather. Hearing this, Ning Tian's expression became much more interesting. But, there are too many things that I don't want to talk about. Is that okay? Husband. Luo Wuqing looked up at Ning Tian with a complicated expression. Seeing this, Ning Tian felt a little distressed and nodded. It seemed that his first wife's background was very frightening. It was no wonder that she could become a great emperor in less than 100 years. Don't worry. No matter what happens, your husband will take care of it. He smiled and pulled Luo Wuqing into his arms. Chapter 445. Hearing this, Luo Wuqing's heart was moved. He leaned against Ning Tian's chest and hummed softly. Ning Tian also gently stroked her hair, and the corners of her mouth curled into a smile. On the side, seeing this scene, Su Yueyao curled her lips and snorted softly. Humph. I'm not jealous. At this moment, Kor's hand reached over and grabbed her hand. With a forceful pull, she was pulled into a warm embrace. Just as she was stunned, Ning Tian's chuckling voice sounded. I told you. 2 wives, you have to pamper them well. Hearing this, Su Yueyao's mouth raised into a smile, muttering in her heart, I really don't know what to do with this guy. Burp. There seemed to be a burp. By the way, wife, I have another question. At this moment, Ning Tian seemed to think of something, leaned close to the two women's ears, the corners of his mouth raised into a smile, and whispered softly. The burst of hot air made the two women feel a little strange. What question? Luo Wuqing's tender body trembled slightly, and asked aloud. That is, we can clearly use Emperor's will to communicate. Why did we come to this place? Ning Tian's mouth raised into a smirk, looking at Luo Wuqing playfully. Could it be, wife, you want to do something bad? You think too much. Luo Wuqing denied. Is that so? What about you, little wife, do you want to? Ning Tian looked at Sui Weiyao, the corners of his mouth raised into a smile. Haha, I want to. Sui Weiyao let out a burst of bell-like laughter. Her answer really did not disappoint. Then the first wife doesn't want to. Ning Tian winked at Sui Weiyao, coughed dryly and said, I see. Sui Weiyao responded with a I understand smile. Then her hands grabbed Luo Wuqing's body, and she laughed like a crazy girl. Luo Wuqing's cold face flushed red when she felt the hand moving around. She glared at Ning Tian and said, You're shameless. If you can't do it, then call Yu Yao over. Bah. Shameless. Hee my wife. Actually, shameless is a compliment. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled up into a mischievous smile. Also, you just said that I can't? As he spoke, he leaned over. No, that's not what I meant. Luo Wuqing immediately turned into steam when he sensed the aura close at hand. A wisp of white smoke floated out of his head. Seeing Luo Wuqing like this, the smile on Ning Tian's face became even more brilliant. Who would have thought that the ice-cold heavenly spirit empress would still be so nervous in front of him? They were clearly an old married couple. Really too cute. No, that's what you meant. So, I'll prove it to you. Ning Tian pretended to be dumb as usual. Ah, Luo Wuqing exclaimed. Hee Sui Weiyao giggled. Details, process, sound, image, 1 day later. Ill-Wind Mountain Range. Roar. A lion saw the forest and instantly became interested. It ran around the forest as if it was having fun. Accompanied by the lion's excited roar, a large number of ancient trees collapsed. Sha Tian, this guy, not only did he tear down the buildings, he even wants to follow us to the Hua ancient tree. Seeing this, Ning Tian smiled helplessly. He didn't know to what extent this guy had practiced the word disassembly technique. After all, he's practicing the word disassembly technique. Sui Weiyao giggled. Forget it, let it be. Anyway, there aren't any particularly powerful beasts in the gloomy Wind Mountains. This guy is at least at the God Emperor realm. It shouldn't be a big problem. Let's continue. Ning Tian said to them. There weren't many people following them. It was just him, Luo Wuqing, Sui Weiyao, and Bai Lu. With such a lineup, apart from the Divine Dominion and the Forbidden Zone, they could basically do whatever they wanted in the 9 zones. After all, apart from him, the 3 girls were all at the demigod realm. The group continued to move forward. Due to the influence of heaven's punishment, Ning Tian and the others didn't fly or walk in the void. Instead, they chose to walk in the simplest way. This way, at least they could observe more and wouldn't miss anything. It's just up ahead. At this time, Bai Lu's indifferent voice was heard. Although Ning Tian and the others were walking, this girl's feet were a few centimeters above the ground. Then, she floated in the air. In fact, this girl could walk, but because the ancestor said, Bai Lu, aren't you an artifact spirit? An artifact spirit should have the appearance of an artifact spirit. Miss Bai Lu had been in this state. How is it? Does this mean that I have the appearance of an artifact spirit? Just up ahead? Bai Lu, are you familiar with heaven's punishment? Hearing Bai Lu's words, Ning Tian couldn't help but be a little puzzled. Even Luo Wuqing and Sui Weiyao hadn't noticed it yet, but Bai Lu was the first to discover it. No. I haven't walked the ancient road to godhood. When I was born, I was in the Divine Dominion. Bai Lu said silently. Ning Tian, first wife, why did it feel like Bai Lu was acting cool? Bai Lu, are you acting cool? Ning Tian used the excellent tradition of asking questions when he didn't understand. Acting cool? Bai Lu was stunned for a moment. Holding the dead bell in her arms, her expression was indifferent. She tilted her head slightly. Acting cool? What do you mean? Hearing this, Ning Tian was silent. Fine. It seemed that this girl really didn't know. As for being born in the divine dominion, Ning Tian wasn't surprised. After all, not everyone in the divine dominion had stepped on the ancient road to godhood. Okay, then according to Bai Lu's words, let's continue forward. Ning Tian looked ahead and continued to lead the girls forward. Ill-Wind Mountain Range. Since the battle, the entire mountain range was in a mess. Even the commonly seen beasts seemed to have hidden and disappeared without a trace. The surrounding air had a trace of shade. It's just up ahead, Bai Lu said again, and several people nodded slightly. They could vaguely feel the bursts of aura. Oh! At this moment, Ceiling Flame Lion King demolished all the way to the end. Everywhere it went, not even a blade of grass grew. Woohoo! Today it was finally fun to demolish. It turned out that not only could you get happiness by demolishing buildings, but you could get happiness no matter what you demolish. This was the true essence of demolishing. At this moment, a little lion felt that it had grown a lot. It ran wildly. Sha Tian, don't run, in front is… At this moment, Ning Tian's voice sounded. Roar? What was in front? Ceiling Flame Lion King was stunned for a moment, blinked its eyes, and then looked down. Roar grass. A sorrowful lion roar. Ceiling Flame Lion King fell down. In front is the ill-wind abyss. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's words fell, and the girls behind him held back their laughter. This little lion, after demolishing so many things, finally suffered retribution. Chapter 446. Awoo! The Lion King cried out in alarm, and then its body fell heavily into the abyss below. It wanted to use its spiritual energy to fly. However, it was shocked to find that there seemed to be a mysterious force suppressing it, preventing it from using any of its strength. It could only fall downwards. Roar. This was the punishment for Master Lion for tearing down the house. If possible, I won't tear it down next time. Boom. The next moment, the Lion King fell heavily to the ground. However, this guy's skin was thick and it was fine to fall like this. Roar. Master Lion didn't die? The Lion King got up and heaved a sigh of relief. Since Master Lion didn't die, it could continue tearing down the house. The moment it raised its head, it was shocked by the scene in front of it. In front of it, holy light flashed like an ancient tree, growing continuously. Holy and dazzling. Roar. The Lion King was puzzled for the nth time and wanted to crawl over to take a look. Suddenly, countless pairs of eyes appeared around it. Red light flashed in the eyes and they approached it. Roar. The next moment, the Lion King screamed and golden light shone from its body. A lion roar shook the abyss. Outside the abyss, the expressions of Ning Tian and the rest turned grave as they looked at the bottomless hole that had been created back then. Waves of strange auras flowed out from the surroundings, causing them to involuntarily feel wary. Looks like this is the birthplace of heavenly punishment. Ning Tian looked at the abyss and was about to move. Suddenly, a lion's roar came from the abyss. Then, a golden light burst out from the abyss. Sha Tian, that guy? Hearing this lion's roar, Ning Tian frowned. Could it be that the Lion King encountered something down there? Let's go, Ning Tian said and led the three girls to the abyss. Before jumping into the abyss, Ning Tian sensed a little and said to the girls, "Pay attention to your spiritual energy protection. I can feel a strange power of law. This power can't let us fly. Even the void is restricted." Okay. After finishing their preparations, the group jumped into the abyss. The abyss was bottomless. Soon, everyone was swallowed by the darkness of the abyss. When he landed below, Ning Tian was still silently complaining. Wife, when you guys fought back then, wasn't the power too strong? It shouldn't be so deep. It should have something to do with divine punishment. Luo Wuqing shook his head slightly and analyzed. I see. Ning Tian stroked his chin. Seeing the two of them like this, Sui Weiyao was speechless. She said, Didn't you notice that we haven't landed yet? It seems that this abyss is bottomless. And we're still accelerating? Luo Wuqing, Ning Tian, F***ck, husband and wife F***ck. In the next moment the three of them fell even faster, and all of a sudden they fell. At the side, Bai Lu floated silently. She also wanted to speed up, but it seemed that her body was lighter. 0v0? After a while, the group of people finally landed on the ground. They saw, below, the ceiling flame Lion King, which had turned into 100 meters in size, collapsed on the ground. Its eyes were tightly closed, and there was no movement at all. It looked like, "Oh, Master Lion, have a good trip." Sigh. Sha Tian, I'll miss you, Ning Tian said silently. Then, he skillfully took out a large piece of white cloth and was about to cover the ceiling flame Lion King. Bai Lu smiled. It's still alive. Hey, Sha Tian, I'll always remember you when I tear down the gate of heaven. Ning Tian walked over and picked up the white cloth. Bai Lu's smile disappeared. It's still alive. Don't worry, I'll find a new lion and pass it on to you. Ning Tian's eyes were full of regret, and he sighed deeply. A few black lines appeared on Bai Lu's forehead. It's still alive. Roar. At this time, the ceiling flame Lion King suddenly woke up and looked at Ning Tian, who was covering it with the white cloth, with a confused expression. F***ck? How much does the ancestral master want to send me away? Otherwise, where did you get this white cloth that matches my size? See, I told you, it's still alive. Bai Lu continued. Ning Tian looked at the ceiling flame Lion King. So, Sha Tian, what's your situation? How can you fall asleep in this place? Seeing that Ning Tian ignored her, Bai Lu was silent for a moment, then hugged the death bell and squatted in the corner, drawing circles. Seeing this scene, Sui Weiyao smiled helplessly and quickly went to comfort her. Roar? The ceiling flame Lion King was silent for a moment, then raised its head, thought for a while, and roared a few times. You mean, after you fell, you saw an ancient tree, and then there were red eyes on all sides. You wanted to fight, but the next moment you fainted? After listening to the ceiling flame Lion King's words, Ning Tian couldn't help but frown. Roar. Sha Tian nodded heavily, using all the wisdom of a lion to think. Could it be someone attacked Master Lion? Sacred ancient tree, red eyes. Ning Tian frowned and thought. Maybe it's the law of heaven and earth. On the side, Bai Lu's voice sounded and she floated over again. After Sui Weiyao instilled in her the idea that Ning Tian was a bastard, she finally felt that the anger in her heart had been vented. Law of heaven and earth? Hearing Bai Lu's words, Ning Tian and Luo Wuqing both frowned, looking at Bai Lu. Bai Lu was a living fossil, she should know more than the others. Maybe it's an illusion formed by the heavenly punishment, and then Sha Tian fell for it, Bai Lu said straightforwardly. Roar? Hearing this, the ceiling flame Lion King couldn't accept it. Master Lion must have been attacked by a peerless powerhouse. How could he faint because of an illusion? This is impossible. Master Lion won't admit it. That's quite normal. Ning Tian, Luo Wuqing, and Sui Weiyao nodded. Roar! The ceiling flame Lion King was indignant. What's wrong with you, husband and wife? However, since it's caused by the law of heaven and earth, the heavenly punishment can't run away from here. Ning Tian looked around. The entire bottom of the abyss was pitch black, and he could vaguely see a few fireflies flickering in the darkness. Maybe we can use the law of heaven and earth to see if we can draw out the heavenly punishment, Bai Lu said. In this case, the 3,000 great Daos were ineffective. only the law of heaven and earth could be used. Then I'll give it a try. Ning Tian nodded slightly, and then used the law of heaven and earth that he already possessed to search for the so-called heavenly punishment. On the side, the eyes of the girls fell on him, with a trace of expectation in their eyes. After a long time, there seemed to be a slight change in the surroundings. Chapter 447. When Ning Tian used the law of heaven and earth, something seemed to be stirred up in the surroundings. The power in the surroundings was obviously different from before. The women's eyes fell on Ning Tian. The several fireflies that were flickering in the dark flew over at this time. The golden light on their bodies changed at this time. It was scarlet. It was like a pair of scarlet eyes in the dark. Roar! Seeing the scarlet eyes, the Lion King was puzzled. Luo Wuqing looked over coldly at the Lion King and said indifferently, "Sha Tian, could it be that you were frightened by these fireflies?" Hearing this, the Sealing Flame Lion King wanted to refute and fight for himself. However, when he saw Luo Wuqing's cold eyes, his body trembled and his hair stood on end. He quickly nodded and did not dare to refute. Roar! Damn! The great matriarch is so scary. When the law of heaven and earth was activated, the fireflies that were originally flickering with golden light turned scarlet at this time. At first glance, it was indeed like a pair of scarlet eyes that suddenly lit up in the dark. Boom! Rumble! At this time, the ground trembled as if something broke out of the ground. Suddenly, an ancient tree broke out of the ground in a flash of golden light. Its sacred luster shone in all directions, making the bottom of the abyss much clearer. "Honey, the ancient tree is coming out." Sui Weiao looked at the ancient tree and said to Ning Tian. Ning Tian withdrew the law of heaven and earth and looked up at the sacred ancient tree. The women also looked at it at this time. The ancient tree was emitting bursts of sacred light and seemed to be growing continuously. But, at a glance, it was invisible. "This is..." A trace of doubt flashed in Ning Tian's eyes. Luo Wuqing looked at the sacred ancient tree, thought for a while, and said, "This should be the ancient tree of heaven and earth." The ancient tree of heaven and earth. Ning Tian narrowed his eyes slightly. Yes, the ancient tree of heaven and earth can give birth to various laws of heaven and earth, so it is called the ancient tree of heaven and earth. However, each tree can only give birth to one kind of law. Moreover, the laws are different and its power is unknown. Sui Weiao added. Hearing the two women's analysis, Ning Tian was silent for a while. He looked at the two women with a confused face. "Why? I don't know, but both of you know? Wouldn't that make your husband lose face? It's your fault for not reading more ancient book. Now that the entire Tianma cult and Yaoqi Lake are yours, it's useful to read more ancient books." Luo Wuqing shrugged. "How can you blame me for not reading?" Haha, Sui Weiao chuckled. "Don't worry about it, husband. Just focus on your cultivation. Leave the reading to me and Wuqing. Concubine is the best. You just spoil him." On this side there was laughter, but on the other side there was a sour smell. Two figures were hiding in a corner. Bai Lu drew circles. "Are you full?" Sha Tian wrote, "Howling grass." In front of the sacred ancient tree, Ning Tian approached the ancient tree and sensed it. "Husband, how is it?" Luo Wuqing looked at Ning Tian and asked. Ning Tian nodded slightly and soon had a new doubt. "There is indeed the aura of the law. It should be Tianfa, but how can I get this Tao?" The two women were silent. "Why don't we ask Bai Lu?" Bai Lu. Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu, who was squatting in a small corner and drawing circles, and shrugged. Why did this Bai Lu always like to squat in corners? He pondered for a while and shook his head slightly. "Forget it, Bai Lu probably doesn't know. Let me think about it myself." The ancient tree of rules is condensed by the law. Is the Tao of Tianfao inside it? Ning Tian touched his chin and pondered for a while. Then, his eyes lit up and he had an idea. Then use the law of death to make the condensed law die? Ning Tian had a bold idea. A master once said that to use magic to defeat magic, then he would use the law to destroy the law. The law of death continued to condense in his hand. He touched it slightly and gently pointed at the ancient tree of rules in front of him. Boom! In an instant, the ancient tree of rules quickly withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Sure enough, it works. Seeing this scene, Ning Tian's eyes flashed. The power of the law of death in his hand surged and accelerated the corrosion of the law on the ancient tree of rules. When the law was corroded, the ancient tree became smaller and smaller. Husband, he seems to have succeeded. Seeing this scene, Su Yueyao's beautiful eyes lit up, and she was a little excited and surprised. Luo Wuqing nodded and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Hey, I didn't expect Daoist Ning's mastery of the law to be so strong. Bai Lu walked over with the death bell in her arms. Seeing the ancient tree of rules getting smaller and smaller under Ning Tian's control, she couldn't help but be a little surprised. Bai Lu, you're not drawing circles anymore, Su Yueyao said silently. Bai Lu, who was holding the death bell, paused for a moment and then silently walked back to the corner. The sacred lord was bullying others. The radiance on the ancient tree of rules was getting smaller and smaller, and the holy brilliance shrouded by the luster was getting stronger and stronger. Obviously, Ning Tian's decision was right. It was also at this time. In his mind, the system's voice sounded. You shocked Su Yueyao. You shocked Luo Wuqing. You shocked Bai Lu. Reward. Dantian Dao Soil. Dantian Dao. Dao Soil? Hearing the system's words, Ning Tian was a little puzzled, but it seemed that the system wasn't responsible this time. It only left a reward without any explanation. At this time, Ning Tian could clearly sense that there was indeed a black soil in his Dantian. But what's the use of this thing? Forget it, Ning Tian murmured. The most important thing now was to get this heavenly punishment and then ask the system about the use of the so-called Dantian Dao soil. His eyes narrowed. The operation of the law of death accelerated. Dozens of minutes later. Boom. In the abyss of Yin Wind, a roar emerged. This is... The huge ancient tree of rules had withered and dissipated, and at the center was a small sapling that was only dozens of centimeters tall, exuding a simple luster. It wasn't a shadow, but a real body. Everyone's eyes fell on this small sapling. Bai Lu, do you know what this is? Su Yueyao asked in confusion. Bai Lu shook her head slightly. Everyone knew nothing about the small sapling under the ancient tree of rules. If it was heavenly punishment, it shouldn't be a real body. This ancient tree does have the aura of heavenly punishment, but it's more of another kind of energy. The two complement each other, but they come from different sources. Ning Tian's gaze fell on the small sapling and said slowly, "Then, what do we do now?" The two girls asked. Such a good thing naturally has to be taken away. Who cares what it is, let's take it away first. Since we saw it, it must be fated to be with us. Ning Tian's mouth curved into a smile, and then he sensed a little. After finding that there was no danger, he reached out to grab the small sapling. But the next moment, when his hand touched the small sapling disappeared into thin air. Author's words. There are 2 more chapters, don't ask why it's so slow, it's empty. Chapter 448. Ning Tian frowned and let out a puzzled sound. It's gone? Seeing this scene, the girls were stunned. Husband, are you okay? Don't move, I'll run my spiritual energy to check your body. Luo Wuqing was the first to react. At this time, she remained calm and her beautiful eyes fell on Ning Tian with some worry. No need. Ning Tian shook his head slightly with a strange expression. I think I know where the sapling went. Where is it? Luo Wuqing frowned and looked at Ning Tian with a puzzled expression. Su Yueyao and Bai Lu also looked at Ning Tian curiously. It's here. The corners of Ning Tian's mouth curled into a mischievous smile. She pulled Luo Wuqing's small hand and, under Luo Wuqing's blank and ignorant gaze, touched that spot. Luo Wuqing blushed and panicked, but she didn't resist. As seeing this, Su Yueyao's lips curled into a signature smirk. She licked her red lips. Was her husband going to fight here? It's exciting just thinking about it. As for Bai Lu, in order not to be blinded, she had already hidden to the side and drew circles. What are you thinking? Ning Tian said grumpily. Could it be that I, the ancestor, am such an indecent person? Then, he took Luo Wuqing's hand and placed it accurately on his dantian below his abdomen. He said softly, "The mysterious sapling is in my dantian." That's right. The moment the sapling disappeared, he felt a strange movement in his dantian. Or to be precise, it was the dantian Dao soil that the system just gave him. The sapling had completely taken root in the dantian Dao soil and was emitting a faint light. At this moment, the system's voice sounded. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the sapling of the unknown tree. Unknown tree? Hearing the system's words, Ning Tian frowned slightly. He couldn't help but ask doubtfully, why is it unknown? Could it be that even you don't know what this is? This system naturally knows. The system was proud. However, this sapling will grow into a different Dao fruit tree as the host changes. Following my changes? Ning Tian's brows were still furrowed as he asked, is it within my control? Perhaps. Ning Tian was silent. Based on the current situation, this unknown tree definitely couldn't be pulled out of the dantian Dao soil. Moreover, it didn't seem to bring any negative effects, so that was it for the time being. But, system, I have a very serious question. The system said, please speak, host. If this thing grows up, it won't explode from my stomach, right? Ning Tian said with a frown. The system, as expected of you, host, you have such a unique way of thinking. System? Ning Tian probed a few times. However, at this time, the system seemed to be dead and didn't say anything. Forget it. There was a cause but no effect. Ning Tian decided to give up and nurture this unknown tree first. He would think about it when the time came. Phew. He opened his eyes and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Husband, is it okay? Why don't we cut open your stomach and... Luo Wuqing said with a serious face. Don't. Are you trying to murder your husband? Ning Tian hurriedly waved his hand and chuckled softly. Don't worry, I can control this sapling. Even if it's in my dantian, it's still within my control. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded but still looked uneasy. If you feel anything wrong, you must tell us. Haha, don't worry. Ning Tian smiled. Roar? At the side, the fire-sealing Lion King heard their conversation and widened its eyes. Roaring grass? Ancestor has a sapling in her stomach? Then, doesn't that mean the ancestor is pregnant with a sapling? Hiss, shocking. You've shocked the fire-sealing Lion King. The fire-sealing Lion King's IQ decreased by 1. Hearing the voice in his mind, Ning Tian glanced at the fire-sealing Lion King with a strange expression. Why is Sha Tian making a fuss about nothing? Husband, what should we do now? Su Yueyao looked at Ning Tian. Well, we've got what we want. It's almost time to leave. Ning Tian pondered for a moment and then glanced at the empty land behind him. He plucked a weed and planted it back at the place where the sapling was. He glanced at it and it was just the right size. Well, it's done now. Let's go. Ning Tian nodded with satisfaction. This is called passing off the false as the real thing. After they got the unknown tree, they left the gloomy wind abyss. The abyss returned to darkness once again. Only the power of the law that was corroded by Ning Tian recovered little by little. It wrapped the weed that was replaced without knowing it. It was as if nothing had happened before. After returning to the Tianma cult, Ning Tian entered a state of seclusion. Apart from obtaining the unknown tree, she had also obtained the path of heavenly punishment. It was a very special kind of energy. Ning Tian entered seclusion to absorb the path of heavenly punishment. In the room, spiritual energy surged. In his dantian, a small sapling seemed to be growing continuously. The heavenly punishment path around the sapling was like a lightning tribulation, but it wasn't. This heavenly punishment is really strange. It seems it doesn't have any effect. Ning Tian observed for a while and came to this conclusion. The heavenly punishment path didn't seem to be born for the 9 regions. It was for something else. There was something else. It might be the ancient road to godhood. Could it be that the heavenly punishment path can only be used on the ancient road to godhood? It appeared with the ancient road to godhood and can only be used on the ancient road to godhood. It's really a strange power. Ning Tian murmured and then began to absorb. According to him, although it couldn't be used now, it would come in handy one day. A few days had passed. For the past few days, the Grand Elder had practically been living in apprehension, because the ancestral master went into seclusion. According to his understanding of the ancestral master, the day the ancestral master came out of seclusion was the day the house collapsed. Basically, it was like this every time. Humph! Ancestral master, this time, don't blame me for being immoral. The Supreme Elder snorted coldly. A hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. For his building, he had no other choice but to let the ancestral master down. Quick! Have you finished installing the protective board? The next moment, he looked at the group of disciples and quickly shouted. That's right. As long as the protective board made from the 1,000-year-old ancient door was installed on the house, he didn't believe that the ancestral master would be able to tear it down this time. Soon, the group of disciples was in a hurry, but they were all muttering in their hearts. They felt a little strange. Wasn't the ancestral master about to come out of seclusion? Did the Supreme Elder have to look like he was facing a great enemy? Chapter 449. Phew! Hearing his disciples' words, the Grand Elder heaved a heavy sigh of relief. He was a little excited, and tears streamed down his face. Damn it! This time, he must succeed. He had planned this for half a year. Finally, he had waited for this opportunity. This time, he named the operation to stop the ancestral master from demolishing his home. As long as he succeeded this time, then it would be the greatest victory since the establishment of the Tianma cult. Damn it! I've planned this for half a year. This time I must succeed. The Grand Elder clenched his fists. His turbid old eyes were full of fighting spirit. This kind of excitement and fighting spirit was even stronger than the first time he bid farewell to his virginity. At the side, the group of newbie disciples looked puzzled. What was going on with the Grand Elder? Boom! At this moment, in the sky, a series of thunderous roars continuously sounded. The wind swept away the clouds, forming a huge vortex. A lot of rich spiritual energy was emitted from it. The momentum was so great that it attracted many people. What's going on? What a huge vision of heaven and earth! Who on earth is this? Hey, senior brothers and sisters, why do you look so calm? Unlike the newbie disciples, the senior brothers and sisters of the Tianma cult expressed that they were used to it. They looked at the newbie disciples and said earnestly, "Whenever there's a vision of heaven and earth, think of that man first." That man? The newbie disciples were stunned. Then, they quickly remembered what their senior brothers and sisters had said. Could it be the legendary ancestral master of the Tianma cult? At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the place where the wind and clouds were surging. It's coming, it's coming. This time, I must succeed. The Grand Elder clenched his fist. Success or failure depended on this. Boom. In the sky, there was a faint sound of thunder. Humph! According to my analysis of the ancestral master demolishing his home, he usually demolishes his home through a lightning tribulation. This time, it's the same. My ancient trees are all lightning resistant. The Grand Elder snorted, looking as if he had a card up his sleeve. How do you think I've spent the past 6 months? In order to prevent the ancestral master from coming back and demolishing his home, he had long prepared. This time, he would definitely win the plan to prevent the ancestral master from demolishing his home. Boom. Rumble. Dark clouds covered the sky and thunder could be faintly seen. As expected. A smile appeared on the Supreme Elder's face. Boom. In an instant, the lightning struck down with a loud rumble. He's here. The Supreme Elder widened his eyes in anticipation. Lightning fell like a dragon, roaring as it approached. However, at that very moment, the falling thunder made a spatial leap and landed heavily on the building, not giving the Supreme Elder any time to react. Boom. In an instant, accompanied by a series of excited lion roars, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. Grand Supreme Elder, hey! F*CKU. This time, the lightning strike also carried a step into the void. Holy shit! The ancestral master's ability to tear down a house had become even stronger. Hiss! This old man forgot that in the past half a year, the patriarch's ability to demolish the house must have improved. F*CK, I was too careless. The Grand Supreme Elder's face was full of regret. He was bitter beyond words. He announced that the plan to prevent the patriarch from tearing down the house had failed. Just as he was feeling regretful, a jade-like hand gently patted his back. Miss Bai Lu? The Supreme Elder turned his head and looked at Bai Lu, who was floating by the side. Suddenly, he felt a sense of familiarity as a tool. With tears streaming down his face, he said, Miss Bai Lu, are you here to comfort this old man? No. Bai Lu shook her head slightly and looked at the Supreme Elder with a serious expression. Taoist Ning now has the power of the rules. No matter what you do, you won't be able to stop him. Grand Supreme Elder. Oh, also, this is for you. As Bai Lu spoke, he gave the Grand Elder a small branch. The Supreme Elder was dumbfounded. I'll draw circles for you to relieve your depression. However, remember to return it to me after you're done. Bai Lu said quietly. The Supreme Elder was silent for a moment. Then, he took the small branch and silently walked to a corner. In the sky, the phenomenon dissipated. Phew, in the room, Ning Tian opened his eyes and clenched his fist. He tried to circulate the power of heaven's punishment. However, his guess was confirmed. He couldn't use the power of heaven's punishment at all. It seems that I can only know a thing or two about the power of heaven's punishment after I enter the ancient road to godhood, Ning Tian murmured. During this seclusion, not only did he master the power of heaven's punishment, but he could still use it. The most important thing was that his strength had finally broken through this time. 7-star God Emperor realm, not bad. I think I should be able to become a great emperor soon. And, becoming a great emperor in 1 year, why do I feel that the speed is still too slow? It's still not enough. It's far from enough. Ning Tian shook his head slightly and stood up. Now wasn't the time to continue cultivating. Everything was ready. It was time to leave for the Endless Sea domain. He pushed open the door and headed toward the demonic palace. In the main hall, in the study room. Husband, how's your cultivation? Luo Wuqing looked up at Ning Tian. And it's almost done. Ning Tian nodded slightly with a smile on her lips. She sat on the desk in a practiced manner and looked down at Luo Wuqing. Wife, it's about time. We can move now. Have you settled the matters in the church? Luo Wuqing was already used to Ning Tian sitting on her desk. She nodded slightly. I've already settled it. I'm just waiting for you. Also, I've checked the information. The fastest way to the Endless Sea domain is to go to the Wuji dynasty. The Wuji dynasty is close to the Endless Sea domain. It's the fastest way. The Wuji dynasty? Hearing this, Ning Tian's expression was a little strange. Why was it them? What's wrong? Luo Wuqing was puzzled. Nothing. Ning Tian smiled and said, I'm old friends with the emperor of the Wuji dynasty. Wife, what do you think I should do? What should I give him? Luo Wuqing. All right, it's almost time to leave. Ning Tian stretched and jumped down from the desk. Go get Yu Yao, Bai Lu, and that baleful lion. Get ready to leave. And dozens of minutes later, the Grand Elder held back his tears of joy as he looked up at the sky, at the huge void ship. He looked reluctant to part with it. Finally, the Patriarch was finally gone. Sob. So sad. Ah. Grand Elder, I'll leave the Tianma cult to you for this period of time. I've already told the Emperor of the Heavenly Nation. You can look for them if you need anything. On the void ship, Luo Wuqing looked at the Grand Elder and said lightly, Yes, Empress. The Grand Elder nodded, and then the group watched the void ship leave. Author's words, my brain cells are dead. Chapter 450. In the sky there was a ripple of void energy, and the void ship quickly disappeared. Phew, the demolition god is finally gone. The Grand Supreme Elder heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the tears from his eyes. Once the Patriarch left, the entire Tianma cult would be his. He could do whatever he wanted. That's right. The plan he had been thinking about for half a year could finally be realized today. Patriarch, Empress, when you come back, this old man will give you a big surprise. Kakik. The Grand Supreme Elder's lips curled into a sinister smile. He silently took out the Imperial Maiden painting from his chest. Cough cough. He took out the wrong painting. He took out the encyclopedia of the 13,823 types of buildings in the profound sky world that was beside the Imperial Maiden portrait. The corner of his mouth revealed a sinister smile. Kiki, once the great Empress and Grandmaster leave, then I can build as I wish. Grand Supreme Elder, your smile just now was very dangerous. A disciple at the side said quietly, Hey, don't ridicule me when I'm showing off. Also, why are you all crying? The Grand Supreme Elder's mouth twitched. He glanced at the group of newbie disciples. Our home is gone. The newbie disciples felt wronged. The Grand Elder glanced at the collapsed buildings and expressed deep sympathy. Then, he looked at the group of newbie disciples and said earnestly, It's time for you to learn how to adapt. Learn more from your senior brothers and sisters' settling technique. The newbie disciples were puzzled. Oh right. At this moment, the Grand Supreme Elder seemed to have remembered something. He looked around and frowned slightly. Where are the Patriarch of the Heavenly Nation and the others? Why didn't they come to see the Patriarch and Empress off today? Oh, the Patriarch of the Heavenly Nation and the others are at the Xiu family. Lord Seal Flame Lion heard that they were leaving soon, so he spent a few days going to the Heavenly Nation, Heavenly Treasure Holy Land, Great Compassion Palace. An elder at the side said quietly. The Grand Supreme Elder's mouth twitched, as expected of the Patriarch and Patriarch's pet. Once they left, the buildings in the Heavenly Spirit region were crying for them. Let's go. They went to the Xiu family. In the void, a huge void battleship was heading toward the firmament territory at full speed. On the deck, the flaming Lion King transformed into a few meters in size and stood up straight. It leaned against the spiritual energy supply device and gripped the steering wheel with a depressed expression. That's right, the one driving the void ship now was Sha Tian. How is it, Sha Tian? Look, this is my surprise for you. After my modifications, even if you aren't strong enough, you can still provide energy for the void ship. Ning Tian looked at it with a smile and patted it on the shoulder. Sha Tian, roar. Roar grass. Therefore Master Lion had become a tool lion, hadn't he? It finally understood that there was no one else around, so it was the one with the lowest status on the field. Naturally, it became an excellent tool lion. F***ck. Master Lion was unhappy, **. I want to return to Tianling. I want to tear down the house. The Grand Elders are the ones who love me. However, Ning Tian ignored the little lion cub. He looked at the women behind him and said softly, Wuqing, Yu Yao, I have something for you. Something? Hearing this, Su Yueyao's beautiful eyes lit up. On the side, Luo Wuqing, who heard this, seemed to have activated a mechanism. She looked at Ning Tian with disdain, as if she was looking at a pervert. It seemed that she still remembered the time when Ning Tian gave her the breastplate. Ha! Wife, don't worry. This time, it's not what you think. Ning Tian smiled and raised his hand slightly. 2 dazzling lights appeared in his hand. This is the law? The 2 women were stunned. Yes. This is the law of God's law. Ning Tian nodded slightly. His eyes fell on the 2 dazzling lights. I extracted some power from the celestial constitution. I think you should be able to absorb it. The power of God's law might be useless now, but it should be useful on the ancient road to godhood. God's law was very powerful. If it were ordinary people, he wouldn't share it. However, the 2 women weren't ordinary people. Hee, thank you, husband. Su Yueyao took it graciously and giggled. Well, wife, you take it too. Ning Tian handed the remaining God's law to Luo Wuqing. There's still some time before the firmament territory. You 2 can comprehend it during this time. Okay. Luo Wuqing nodded his head slightly and accepted the gift without any hesitation. After handing it to the 2 women, Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu again and said with a smile, Miss Bai Lu, I also have something for you. For me? Bai Lu was stunned. Holding the death bell, she asked curiously, But, I'm not your wife. Swish. As soon as she said that, Ning Tian clearly felt a cold gaze fall on him. He quickly coughed, Ahem, Miss Bai Lu, you think too much. This is not something for my wife. You've helped me a lot during this time. This thing must be useful for you. What is it? Bai Lu looked at Ning Tian curiously. Hee about this. Ning Tian smiled mysteriously and looked at Bai Lu. During this time, he found more and more changes in this girl. At first, Bai Lu was like a cold beauty, but as time passed, she was like a child who was born for the first time, full of ignorance and curiosity. Perhaps, after staying in the Black Earth Dead Mountain for 2 million years, she still didn't change much. Here for you. Ning Tian mysteriously took out something from the storage ring. It was shining with golden light. Wow. Bai Lu's beautiful eyes sparkled. She looked at it expectantly. It's a tree branch. *##. Bai Lu was at a loss. Until Ning Tian put the branch in her hand, she reacted. Taoist Ning, why did you give me a tree branch? Haha. Didn't I see you often holding the dead bell, squatting in the corner and drawing circles? I thought that your little branch would break sooner or later. Moreover, you can't draw on some hard ground. Mine is different. I can draw anywhere. Ning Tian laughed. Impossible, Ovo. My branch, I brought it out from the dead mountain. It's impossible for it to break. Bai Lu took out the branch that she used to draw circles. Her small face was full of stubbornness. Gotcha. At this moment, the branch in her small hand suddenly disappeared, and a cracking sound was heard. Look, isn't it broken? Ning Tian said with a serious face. Bai Lu felt wronged. You, stop bullying Bai Lu. Luo Wuqing rolled his eyes at Ning Tian. When did I bully her? Ning Tian looked at Bai Lu innocently, and then looked at her. Don't worry, this branch of mine was broken from that small sapling. It's definitely useful. It's absolutely smooth when you draw circles. Ning Tian patted his chest with a smile of a profiteer. Really? Hearing that the circles were very smooth, the grievance on Bai Lu's face disappeared. She looked at Ning Tian seriously. Absolutely true. Ning Tian's lips curled into a smile. The author's words. Look, I posted another chapter this morning. Should you invest 100 million in silver notes? Chapter 451. After all, this small branch was broken off from the sapling. Since it was an unknown tree, even a small branch from it was definitely not an ordinary item. As for why this branch broke off, it was entirely because the sapling was too weak. Then I'll accept it. Bai Lu took the branch from the unknown tree from Ning Tian, her eyes shining brightly. Thank you, Taoist Ning. After thanking him, Bai Lu walked to a corner of the void ship and knelt down skillfully with the death bell in her arms. Then, she began to draw circles on it. Seeing this, Ning Tian and the others shook their heads helplessly. Okay, honey, go and comprehend the heavenly punishment law, Ning Tian said casually. He looked at the fire-sealing Lion King and said, Sha Tian, speed up. We'd better get to the firmament territory as soon as possible. Roar, a lion's roar rang out from the void ship, indicating that it was willing to work without complaint. The firmament territory. The Wuji divine dynasty in the Chaos Imperial realm. Hundreds of birds flew together, the country was prosperous, and the people were at peace. The Wuji divine dynasty was a city that stretched as far as the eye could see. The capital of the divine dynasty. This was the capital of the Wuji divine dynasty. It was prosperous. Many cultivators flew on their swords, and many peddlers shouted in low voices. It was indeed the most prosperous city in the Chaos Imperial realm other than the Chaos Imperial city. Emperor, I see that you've been a little absent-minded recently, a white-haired elder asked with a frown as he looked at Di Wuji, who was lying on the dragon throne in a magnificent hall. Medicine Master Lu, what's wrong with me? Di Wuji rubbed his head tiredly. He got up slightly and looked at the white-haired elder beside him. In my opinion, you might be sick. Medicine Master Lu analyzed and finally came to a conclusion. Sick? Di Wuji frowned. The person in front of him was the best doctor in the Wuji divine dynasty, but, he said in a serious tone, Medicine Master Lu, I'm a demigod. What kind of illness can invade my body? Ha! Medicine Master Lu smiled and shook his head. Emperor, you might not know that illness doesn't just refer to the body. It could also be a mental illness. Mental illness. Di Wuji frowned. Has the Celestial Emperor missed someone recently? Or does she often appear in your mind? Human, Di Wuji pondered for a while and said, there is indeed one person. Since that day in the Black Earth Dead Mountain, when he found out about Ning Buxu's identity and background, he had a sense of defeat and even a vague sense of shame. With his background, he dared to challenge Ning Buxu. It was somewhat unsightly. He deeply understood how powerful Ning Buxu's background was. That was a heavenly god powerhouse. As expected, Medicine Master Lu smiled knowingly, then said, Does the Emperor lose control of his emotions when he thinks of that person? Even if you try hard to forget her, you can't do it? Di Wuji frowned and looked at Medicine Master Lu. Medicine Master Lu is indeed an expert in medicine. You guessed everything correctly. Indeed. As soon as he thought of how formidable fellow Taoist Ning was, unwillingness appeared in his heart. He wanted to stop thinking about it for the time being, but that unwillingness suddenly rose up again. Medicine Master Lu, how should I treat this heart disease? Or should I say, what kind of immortal medicine would be effective? Di Wuji looked at Medicine Master Lu and asked with a frown. If this feeling persisted for a long time, it would probably become a heart demon. He needed to treat it as soon as possible. Emperor, this is the most primitive emotion of a human. There is no need to care about it. Medicine Master Lu shook his head slightly and said with a smile. The most primitive emotion? Di Wuji was stunned. Yes, actually, the Emperor's situation is very simple. It is nothing more than falling in love with a woman. You just need to bring her into your harem. Medicine Master Lu analyzed from the side. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted by Di Wuji. Wait, I feel a familiar aura. This aura. I can't be wrong. She is here. As soon as he finished speaking, Diwuji walked out of the hall in a flash. She is here. Could it be that she will become the Emperor's 3001st harem? Medicine Master Lu frowned slightly and followed. In the capital of the God dynasty, there was a roar in the sky. Then, there was a fluctuation in the void. A huge object appeared in the sky above the capital of the divine dynasty. In an instant, the eyes of the common people and cultivators below were drawn to it. When they saw the huge battleship, they were all stunned. Their eyes were filled with confusion. What was this black thing? A flying ship? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, there were waves of fluctuations in the surroundings. The commotion here alarmed the soldiers in the capital of the divine dynasty. One by one, the soldiers in armor immediately stepped into the air and flew over. The waves of pressure coming from them indicated that the weakest one was a peak heavenly venerable. The guards of the Wuji divine dynasty seemed to be quite strong. A hearty voice sounded from the huge battleship. You, seniors, who are you? Seeing the few people on the void ship, the group of soldiers in the capital of the divine dynasty's expression changed slightly. They could not see through any of the people in front of them. Even the lion could not see through them. There was also the woman in white who was drawing circles in the corner. Her body was transparent and her body was floating lightly. Could it be a ghost spirit? Could it be that the circles she drew were some kind of vicious curse? In an instant, the attitude of the group of soldiers became respectful. They could not cause trouble for the Wuji divine dynasty. At this moment, a voice sounded. Fellow Taoist Ning, long time no see. Then, two sounds of air being torn apart rang out. Diwuji and Medicine Master Lu flew out of the main hall and headed in the direction of the void ship. Emperor! Greetings, Emperor! When they saw Diwuji, the group of soldiers quickly knelt in the void and bowed. Countless common people and cultivators below also bowed. Diwuji waved his hand slightly. Then, with a hint of majesty in his voice, he said to the group of soldiers, Fellow Taoist Ning is my friend. When you see him in the future, don't stop him. Do you understand? Yes. The group of soldiers quickly nodded and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they knew what was good for them. Otherwise, they would have inadvertently provoked the Emperor's friend. At the side, seeing how excited Diwuji was, Medicine Master Lu seemed to have understood something. He looked at the void ship. In the next moment, his pupils shrank. He was extremely shocked. There was actually such a beautiful woman in the world. Moreover, there were three of them. Could it be? The Emperor has fallen in love with one of these three, or all of them? Medicine Master Lu frowned. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. Why? The Emperor was not looking sideways. He was only looking at that handsome young man. Moreover, his furrowed brows also seemed to relax. No, what the f***ck? Could it be that the Emperor likes men? Chapter 452. Shocking. It turned out that the Celestial Emperor liked men. Medicine Master Lu's body trembled slightly as he kept wiping the cold sweat off his forehead. Everything was beyond his expectations. What should he do now? He looked at Ning Tian, who was chatting happily with Diwuji, with shock in his heart. What kind of man was this? How could he make the Emperor feel that way? You've shocked Medicine Master Lu. You've achieved the take-all achievement. The effect of the divine charm constitution has been strengthened. At this moment, the system's voice sounded in Ning Tian's mind. Ning Tian, O_O? What the hell? Who was shocked? What was the take-all thing? Fellow Taoist Ning, what's wrong with you? Diwuji was puzzled when he saw Ning Tian in a daze. Aha, nothing. Ning Tian waved his hand slightly and continued to reminisce with Diwuji. After all, they had to reminisce before cheating him. They had to go through the basic process. At the side, Medicine Master Lu quickly retracted his gaze. At this moment, he gasped and felt that his heart, which had not beat for a long time, seemed to have trembled. He was shocked. What was going on? What was this feeling of being in love? Could it be that I've fallen for this young man too? No, how could I snatch a man from the Celestial Emperor? This is a big taboo. However, what Medicine Master Lu did not know was that all this was because the divine charm constitution had just been strengthened. Well, Emperor, this old man will take his leave first. You can have a good chat with this young master. You must pay attention to your safety and do not face any difficulties head-on, Medicine Master Lu said earnestly to Di Wuji. Then, he ran away with tears in his eyes. Perhaps this was what it felt like to be heartbroken. When they saw this scene, they were all stunned for a moment. Ning Tian asked, Di Wuji, has your medicine master always been like this? Surprised face. Di Wuji replied, I don't know about this. Oh, right? Ning Tian smiled at Di Wuji and said, Old Emperor, I thought of something. What did fellow Taoist Ning think of? Di Wuji was stunned. Then, he added, also, please don't call me Old Emperor, fellow Taoist Ning. It sounds like you're calling me little brother. Then, Old Wuji. Before Ning Tian could finish his words, Di Wuji's face darkened. He said quietly, Taoist Ning, just call me Old Emperor. I think it's more intimate that way. Di Wuji would not say that Old Wuji was very similar to the name of the brothel lady in the Wuji divine dynasty, Old Wuji. Old Emperor, didn't you say that you wanted to spar with me? Now I don't feel weak. Why don't we do it now? Ning Tian said with a smile. Di Wuji was taken aback by Ning Fan's kind smile. He frowned slightly and muttered to himself, that's not right. Why does fellow Taoist Ning's kind smile make me instinctively fearful? Since fellow Taoist Ning said so, then Di Wuji was just about to agree. Suddenly, it was only then that he noticed the three women on the void ship. The woman holding the death bell has been following fellow Taoist Ning. Di Wuji's heart trembled when he saw Bai Lu, whom he had seen in the Black Soil Death Mountain. He naturally knew Bai Lu's strength, and that day a woman who could transform into a fox demon. Wait, this woman? Suddenly Di Wuji's gaze landed on Luo Wuqing. His heart trembled. Not only was this woman extremely beautiful, but her strength was probably above his. Most importantly, as the emperor of the Wuji divine dynasty, he could naturally sense a unique aura from Luo Wuqing. It was a kind of the aura of an emperor. The aura of an emperor was far above his. Obviously, this should be fellow Taoist Ning Buxu's first wife. She was also the descendant of the god domain's god-saint's son, as mentioned by the mysterious expert that day. Old Emperor? Ning Tian looked at Di Wuji kindly and asked with a smile. Di Wuji touched his nose. When he thought of the four demigod realm experts standing in front of him, he swallowed his saliva and quickly said, I'm afraid I can't today. I'm weak. Yes, I'm weak, so I can't fight. Is that so? That's a pity. Ning Tian spread his hands, indicating that he had given him a chance. Since he didn't seize it, he couldn't blame him. That's right, Di Wuji quickly changed the topic. I wonder why fellow Taoist Ning has come to the Wuji divine dynasty. Don't tell me you're here to spar with me? No. Don't think too much. Don't be so narcissistic. Ning Tian waved his hand slightly. The corner of Di Wuji's mouth twitched. After a moment of silence, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. As expected of fellow Taoist Ning, he didn't stop talking until he choked someone to death. Then, why did fellow Taoist Ning come to the Wuji divine dynasty? We're going to the Endless Sea domain. I heard that it'll be faster if we pass through the Wuji divine dynasty, Ning Tian said lightly. Hearing this, Di Wuji nodded slightly. The endless sea domain was the strangest place in the firmament territory. One couldn't fly above the endless sea domain for a long time and couldn't fly more than 100 meters high. What was even stranger was that one couldn't even use the void ability. Therefore, if one wanted to go deep into the endless sea domain, they could only use the most primitive method, which was a ship. Since the Wuji divine dynasty was close to the endless sea domain, it was indeed the most convenient to set off from there. I see. Di Wuji nodded slightly and then said to Ning Tian with a serious look, however, "Fellow Taoist Ning, you'd better be careful. The endless sea domain hasn't been peaceful recently." Not peaceful? Ning Tian raised his eyebrows slightly. Yes. Di Wuji nodded heavily. Doesn't that mean that there's something good? Ning Tian's eyes flashed. In his mind, if there was something bad, it meant that there was something good. It seemed that he was fated to be in the endless sea domain. Di Wuji was silent for a while. He thought that fellow Taoist Ning would retreat or be a little more serious. However, he did not expect that Ning Buxu's first thought would be that there was something good. What kind of weird brain circuit was this? He could not figure it out at all. Fellow Taoist Ning, you must not let your guard down. Even a demigod powerhouse needs to be careful, Di Wuji warned. Don't worry, I have 3 demigod powerhouses with me, Ning Tian said casually. The corners of Di Wuji's mouth twitched. So, what is the reason for the unrest in the endless sea domain? Ning Tian looked at Di Wuji. He naturally understood that he should be vigilant. There was no need for Di Wuji to remind him. No matter how much he said now, it would not be as useful as being vigilant in the endless sea domain. It's the sea beasts, Di Wuji said slowly. Sea beasts? Ning Tian and the others frowned slightly. They were all from the heavenly spirit region. There was no sea in the heavenly spirit region, so they were not familiar with the sea beasts. Author's words. Regarding the plot, what do you think of it? You can give some opinions appropriately. Also, are you satisfied with the author's current humorous writing style? Here? Give some opinions? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.